Chapter 35-13. The eldest young master's expression turned ugly. He originally held this sparring session to show off his strength and show off his esteemed guest, Lei Qianzhong, to make everyone admire him. However, he didn't expect Lei Qianzhong to be the one to make a fool of himself. This was something he didn't expect even in his dreams. Damn it, it was this guy who had messed up his plans. He coldly stared at Lin Xian, then glanced at the fatty. The fatty was so scared that his entire body turned cold. It's over. I've been targeted by the eldest young master. However, Lin Xian didn't care at all. Fellow Taoist, aren't your words a bit too much? The eldest young master coldly said. Lin Xian turned around. Oh, what, you still want to save face for that trash? Don't waste your energy, I've already given them a lot of face. Otherwise, do you think he would dare to fight me at the same level? The eldest young master's mouth twitched, but he couldn't say anything. He coldly snorted, then turned around and left. Same level battle? What a joke. Lei Qianzhong couldn't even defeat the eldest young master with his cultivation at the second sky. If he was at the first sky in the seal, he would probably be beaten up. Lei Qianzhong left, and so did the eldest young master. They all left in anger, because if they stayed here, they would probably go crazy from anger. Everyone was dumbfounded. They didn't expect this scene. However, at this moment, someone gently clapped. Wonderful, truly wonderful, truly wonderful. I haven't seen Big Brother so flustered and exasperated for many years. You've really opened my eyes. The one who spoke was the third young master. He was indeed very happy, because in the younger generation of the 9 Netherbird clan, only the eldest young master was above him. If the eldest young master was unlucky, he would definitely step on him. Now that someone could make the eldest young master suffer, how could he not be happy? Brother, I sincerely invite you again. Are you interested in joining hands with me? We can create a golden era together. Join hands with you? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. I don't think you've forgotten, right? You wanted to attack me before, and even wanted to kill me. Just now, you even used your eldest young master to kill me. Do you think I'll join hands with you? Indeed, Lin Xian was also disdainful of the third young master. This third young master was too sinister, and liked to use underhanded methods. Moreover, he had joined forces with the Vermilion Bird Palace and the 8 Wind Palace. Why would Lin Xian team up with them? The fact that Lin Xian didn't attack the third young master was already giving the 9 Nether clan a lot of face. However, the third young master didn't seem to know. He even said proudly, Brother, you're wrong. There are no eternal enemies, only common interests. If we work together, we can really combine our strengths. Hearing this, Fatty tensed up. Fuck, this OL3 is trying to poach me again. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and smiled. Is that so? If you really want to join hands with me, it's not impossible. But what? Fellow Taoist, feel free to tell me. I can definitely do it. Third young master said hurriedly. To be honest, he was a little excited right now because from his previous performance, this Lin Xian wasn't any weaker than Lei Qianzhong. If he could recruit such a person to his side, then he would have the strength to fight against boss. Can do anything? Isn't that a little too arrogant? Lin Xian shook his head. Why are you doubting my strength? Don't worry, there's nothing I can't do. Third young master's eyes flashed with arrogance. He only lacked a strong assistant now. As long as he had a peerless genius by his side, he could definitely fight for the title of number 1 among the younger generation of the 9 Nether clan. Therefore he waved his hand and said, Whatever conditions you have, I won't even frown. Is that so? Lin Xian smiled faintly. If you want to join hands with me, it's very simple. Get rid of all the nobodies around you. I don't need to be with these trash. Get lost. Trash. Everyone was dumbfounded. They felt like their brains were about to explode. Who are these people beside the third young master? They are the experts of the Vermilion Bird Palace and the 8 Wind Palace. How terrifying are these people? They're definitely existences that can suppress an entire world. But they're actually trash in his eyes? Third young master was also stunned. He didn't expect Lin Xian to make such a request. He was stunned for a moment. Beside him, those from the Vermilion Bird Palace, Dragon Valley, and 8 Wind Palace were enraged and stood up one after another. Kid, what did you say? Say it again. You want to die? They were really angry. What, you're not convinced that you're trash? Lin Xian's eyes flashed with a piercing cold light. If you're not convinced, then come out and fight. A battle to the death. When those words came out, those people on the other side almost vomited blood. Damn it, a battle to the death? What a joke. Even Lei Qianzhong couldn't beat him. How could they go up and watch? Isn't this bullying? Every one of them trembled with anger, but no one dared to accept the challenge. The scene became very strange for a moment. Many people around were speechless. They didn't know why Lin Xian dared to be so arrogant. In fact, they didn't know the hatred between Lin Xian, the Dragon Valley, and the Vermilion Bird Palace. These major factions were still on the Lengia planet, preparing to capture him. How could he show mercy to the disciples of these factions? Damn kid, tell us your name if you have the guts. A sky pride from the Vermilion Bird Palace gritted his teeth. Lin Xian said arrogantly with his hands behind his back. You don't have the right to know. You're courting death. The sky pride roared. As soon as he finished speaking, he was sent flying with a slap. Half of his face was smashed. Lin Xian retracted his hand and said coldly, if you say another word, I'll kill you without mercy. The people from the Vermilion Bird Palace vomited blood, but no one dared to speak again. The people from the Dragon Valley and Eight Wind Palace subconsciously took 2 steps back, but the third young master's face was incomparably pale. I invited you out of goodwill, but you attacked my friends. Isn't that too much? Don't forget, no matter how powerful you are, you're still a member of the younger generation. And this is the territory of the Abysmal Tribe. Judging from your tone, are you threatening me? Lin Xian sneered. You can't even be polite to the wise, and you want to recruit sky prides? Dream on. I admit that you're right. This is indeed the territory of the Abysmal Tribe, but so what? Can you represent the Abysmal Tribe? The third young master was stunned, and the others fell silent. Although the third young master was a sky pride of the Abysmal Tribe, and had an extraordinary status, no one would believe that he could represent the Abysmal Tribe. If he said that the living fossil could definitely represent the Abysmal Tribe. Third young master? He's too far away. Even the eldest young master isn't qualified. Since you can't represent the Abysmal Tribe, then what right do you have to threaten me with the Abysmal Tribe? Maybe in 2 days, the Abysmal Tribe will treat me as an important guest. At that time, you'll have to be respectful when you see me. Treat you as an important guest? Good, good, good. I'd like to see what right you have to say such big words. The third young master's face was ashen. He waved his sleeves and turned to leave. Beside him, the experts from the Dragon Valley and Eight Emperors Palace also left. Before they left, their eyes were filled with cold murderous intent. The eldest young master and Lei Qianzhong left with their people, but the third young master also left with his people, and they were all angered by Lin Xian. Chapter 35:14. The surrounding people felt that it was unreal. On Gold Planet, who dared to be disrespectful to the 2 young masters of the 9 Netherbird race. But now someone actually did it. And no one dared to refute. It was a rare sight that happened once in 1,000 years. Brother, you're awesome. Really eye-opening. Didn't you see the sullen faces of Boss and Old 3? Haha, I probably won't forget it in my life. Too satisfying. Fatty was incomparably excited. He had been bullied by these 2 since he was young. Now that he saw their sullen faces, he really felt too good. He looked at Lin Xian with stars in his eyes. Brother, I'll follow you in the future. You're my boss. Lin Xian laughed when he heard that. Aren't you afraid that your 9 Netherbird race will fight it out with me? Fatty also laughed awkwardly. Indeed, in their 9 Netherbird race's territory, he was still the young master of the 9 Netherbird race. Now he actually had to acknowledge a boss in front of everyone. If their elders knew, they would probably slap him to death. However, Lin Xian laughed and said, you don't have to acknowledge me as your boss. Let me ask you, do you want to be the boss of the younger generation of the 9 Netherbird race? Hearing that, Fatty sucked in a breath of cold air. Brother, what do you mean? Lin Xian laughed and then transmitted his voice. What I mean is that I don't like Old 3 and Boss. He was indeed right. He didn't like these 2 because they colluded with those people from the Vermilion Bird Palace. And with today's situation, those people definitely wouldn't let it go. Perhaps they might do something. You're saying that they will attack us? It can't be. Fatty's face was full of shock. Although such a thing happened today, Fatty felt that it wasn't very likely that it would be an assassination. Then let's wait and see. Next, Lin Xian and the rest changed back. After returning, Lin Xian set up a formation. Then they hid in another formation. In the latter half of the night, suddenly, a few dark shadows appeared in the void and charged towards them. The formation that Lin Xian set up was an illusion formation. There were illusions of him, Meng Meng and Fatty inside. At this moment, the assassins charged towards the phantom. The strength of these people was extremely terrifying. They were all saints. Their attacks were all fatal. Moreover, their weapons were smeared with poison. Pung pung pung. The three assassins charged towards Fatty and the others. When the daggers cut through their bodies, the three assassins quickly retreated. They were incomparably confident because this poison was extremely terrifying. As long as one touched it, no one would be able to survive. What, am I right? Hidden in another array formation, Lin Xian said faintly. Fatty's face turned extremely ugly. If it wasn't for Lin Xian, he would have already been silently killed. Damn it. Damn it. Fatty gritted his teeth. Bro, tell me what you want me to do. I'll listen to you. Previously, the Fatty didn't think much of it. At most, he would be bullied. But now Big Brother and Third Brother actually wanted to kill him. Fatty couldn't stand it. Since the other party has attacked us, we naturally have to fight back. However, killing the first and third young masters is too big of a target, and will easily cause a commotion. This matter can wait. You can slowly deal with them in the future. What I can do now is to weaken the forces around them as much as possible. You want to make a move on the people around them? Fatty was shocked. Lin Xian nodded. That's right. At least half of this matter was because of the people around them. Therefore, making a move on them can be considered as revenge. But we don't have enough manpower. Can you handle it alone? Lin Xian said, no problem. However, I still need your help. Fantasy and I will create a clone. Then you will bring our clones to visit 9 Nether Yanran. Dream's true body and I will go kill those people. This way, even if those people suspect us in the future, 9 Nether Yanran will be our alibi and we will be safe. Alright. Fatty's eyes lit up. This time, he was going to do something big. Next, Lin Xian and Fantasy each created a clone. Fatty brought the 2 clones to 9 Nether Yanran's residence. Lin Xian and Fantasy's true bodies were hidden in the void. They were going to carry out an assassination. Fantasy would go to Third Young Master's residence and assassinate the Vermilion Bird Palace experts around him. As for Lin Xian, he was going to make a move on First Young Master's side. This time, it was an assassination. Therefore, they would take action very quickly. If they failed, they would retreat far away. In the hall, 9 Nether Yanran held a jade slip in her hand. Her exquisite face was filled with seriousness. Outside, a maid quickly walked in. Miss, 6th Young Master is outside. He wants to see you. 6th Young Master? 9 Nether Yanran stopped what she was doing and looked up. She asked, just him. The maid said, no, other than 6th Young Master, his 2 companions are also with him. Quickly ask them to come in. 9 Nether Yanran stood up. She was originally very interested in Lin Xian and wanted to find a chance to probe him. She didn't expect 6th Young Master to bring people here. This would save her a lot of trouble. She had to meet this mysterious young genius. 6th Young Master, please come with me. Sister Yanran wants to see you. The maid outside smiled. Good. Fatty also smiled. He quickly walked in with Lin Xian and Fantasy's clone. On the other side, in First Young Master's residence. First Young Master had originally prepared a banquet to celebrate. However, everyone was no longer in the mood. After Lei Qianzhong returned, he went into seclusion and didn't come out. He looked very angry. First Young Master went to invite him a few times, but to no avail. He could only give up. At the same time, the Vermilion Bird Palace, 8 Wind Palace, and Dragon Valley experts all had ugly expressions. Damn it, it's all because of that despicable brat. Not only did he dare to offend young Master Lei, he even dared to provoke us. I really want to find a chance to kill him. Don't worry, we've already returned and said that we succeeded. That kind of poison can definitely kill them. That's natural. This poison was brought from the second astral realm. Even a third heaven saint wouldn't be able to resist it. Everyone sneered. First young master said, "All right, there are many things to do today. Everyone rest early." With that he left. Those people also returned to their own rooms, either to cultivate or rest. The night gradually quieted down. However, they didn't know that in the sky, a figure stood there like a demon, coldly looking down. Poison from the second astral realm. Emph. So it was you who did it. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being impolite. A cold murderous intent appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. He already had a grudge with the Vermilion Bird Palace and the other major forces. Now that they attacked him again, Lin Xian's heart was filled with killing intent. Whoosh! A black aura rose from his body. It was demonic qi. At this moment, Lin Xian directly transformed into a demon. He also pulled out the Great Destruction Spear. His face was covered, only a pair of cold eyes could be seen. Chapter 35:15. The palace below was filled with a fire array. Countless flames formed a vermilion bird that coiled around a man. It was extremely mysterious. This was an expert from the Vermilion Bird Palace. He was currently cultivating. Buzz. Suddenly he opened his eyes, revealing a trace of fear. He then looked around, but there was no one. He did not detect anything, but his heart was trembling uneasily. It was as if some danger was approaching. Was it an illusion? The expert from the Vermilion Bird Palace frowned and carefully sensed for a while, but he did not sense anything. He stared at his eyes again and turned his palms towards the sky, preparing to cultivate. Poof! Suddenly, a black spear came out of his heart, stained with blood. It was extremely strange. The expert from the Vermilion Bird Palace opened his eyes wide in disbelief. There was someone. There was indeed someone. But who was it? Why did he not sense it? He wanted to turn his head, but he did not even have the strength to do so. This attack caused his strength and vitality to rapidly drain away. His head only managed to turn halfway before he fell to the ground. His soul was instantly stared to death. The first one. The demonic figure withdrew the Great Destruction Spear. His eyes flashed with a golden light, and a cold aura tore through the void and disappeared. This was destined to be a night of bloodshed. Lin Xian was like a ghost, appearing in every palace. Every time he attacked, it was a fatal blow. The great dragon sword soul destroyed everything, and the heavenly secret god eye destroyed the opponent's soul. He was like the Grim Reaper in the darkness. In the end, the experts from the Vermilion Bird Palace, 8 Desolation Palace, Dragon Valley, and other experts around the eldest young master were all killed. Throughout the entire process, these people did not resist at all. Buzz. After dealing with the last one, Lin Xian left completely. On the other side, Fantasy had also returned. How was it? Lin Xian asked. Fantasy nodded. It was all settled without anyone knowing. All right, let's go back. Lin Xian and Fantasy God I turned around and returned. In another palace, the fatty looked at the time and felt that it was about time. So he returned from Nine Nether Yanran's place. Who was this guy? Nine Nether Yanran's little face was a little gloomy. Until now, she still hadn't found out the other party's identity. She planned to wait for 2 days and find an opportunity to try again. The next day. There was only 1 day left before the living fossil's birthday banquet. The eldest young lord opened his eyes, recovering from his cultivation. He was going to look for Lei Qianzhong again, as he would need to rely on him in the future. This time he didn't plan to go alone. He planned to bring the experts of the Vermilion Bird Palace with him. Thinking about it, Lei Qianzhong shouldn't be able to refuse to meet them. Someone please invite the geniuses out. His subordinates hurried over, but soon they heard screams. Eldest young master, this is bad. These people were scared shitless. The eldest young master's face sank. What was going on that made him so flustered? He was already in a bad mood, and the way his subordinates were behaving made him even more dissatisfied. He had to calm himself down first. The eldest young master took a sip of spirit tea. After a while he asked, "Speak, what is it?" That subordinate was sweating profusely from anxiety, but in front of the eldest young master, he did not dare to be impudent at all. After the eldest young master spoke, he said, "Young master, the people from the Vermilion Bird Palace are dead." What? The eldest young master stood up abruptly, the spirit tea in his hand shattered. Not only that, the ground under his feet and the space behind him were also crumbling. It was a scene of apocalypse. The subordinate was so frightened that he fell to his knees, trembling. The eldest young master lifted him up. "What did you say? Say it again." "The people from the Vermilion Bird Palace are dead. Moreover, the experts from the Eight-Wind Palace and Dragon Valley were all killed. How is this possible?" The eldest young master's pupils constricted. He couldn't believe his ears. The geniuses he recruited were all dead? Impossible. He threw his subordinate to the side, turned into a streak of light, and rushed into the distance. Greetings to the eldest young master. In the distant palace there were already many guards waiting. When they saw the streak of light, the guards bowed respectfully. The eldest young master ignored them and walked straight into the palace. In the next moment, he felt like he was struck by lightning. The person lying on the ground in front of him was a man. The vermilion bird totem on his body had dimmed, but he could recognize him at a glance. He was an expert from the Vermilion Bird Palace. Was he really dead? That was a saint. It was not an easy task to kill a saint completely. He went forward to check carefully. Then his body turned even colder. He was indeed dead, and he was thoroughly dead. There was no possibility of him being revived. There was only one fatal wound. The person's heart was pierced by a sharp weapon. The eldest young master sensed carefully. He felt a trace of extremely terrifying aura. Was that demonic chi? He frowned, turned around and ran toward the second palace. In the end he found the same scene. An expert from the Eight-Wind Palace had his heart pierced, leaving behind a trace of demonic chi. The third, the fourth, all of them died in the same way. Their hearts were pierced in an instant. But how was this possible? Their hearts were pierced? They could be revived even if they were killed. But now, these saints were all killed. Then this attack wasn't an ordinary one that pierced the heart. It was a killing blow that wiped out all of their vitality, soul and blood essence. What kind of attack was this? The eldest young master felt his scalp go numb. Ordinary saints couldn't do it. Unless it was a minor saint who attacked. The eldest young master felt a lingering fear. If that person wanted to attack him, would he be able to survive? He didn't know. Suddenly he thought of something. Lei Qianzhong. He didn't care about anything else and quickly rushed to where Lei Qianzhong was. When he found out that Lei Qianzhong was fine and was still alive, he let out a sigh of relief. Someone investigate this matter for me. Investigate thoroughly. Who dared to attack him here? He must be torn into pieces. The eldest young master was furious. His subordinates quickly went to investigate. The news spread out. The third young master was the first to receive the news. When he received this news, he instantly became happy. Someone was going to target boss. Then was this his chance? He needed to find someone to discuss this matter. However, when he found those geniuses, he was stunned. Those geniuses under him were all dead. Corpses from the Eight-Wind Palace, Vermilion Bird Palace, and Dragon Valley all had their foreheads split open. Arg! The third young master roared like a wild beast. Damn it, check it out for me. He no longer had the mood to laugh because he suffered the same fate as the eldest young master. So many geniuses died here. They were killed in an instant. This was like an earthquake. Chapter 35:16. This was no longer a matter between the two young masters, but the elders of the Paul Netherbird clan. The powerhouses moved out one after another, completely sealing off the Golden Fire Plains. Someone dared to make a move in their territory, regardless of who it was. Once they found the culprit, they would kill him. For a moment, the undercurrents in Alchemy Valley surged, and the powerhouses inside went crazy. They were all guessing which ruthless person dared to do such a thing under the nose of the Paul Netherbird clan. Was he not afraid of being found out? However, after searching for a long time, they did not find the culprit, not even a suspicious person. That was even more shocking. That was impossible. Could it be that he had already left? Everyone guessed. First young master, third young master, and the others gritted their teeth because they thought of someone. Damn it, it can't be that kid, right? Oh, go find sixth young master. They moved out one after another, heading towards the palace where the fatty was. Soon, they arrived at the palace where the fatty was and surrounded it. What was going on? The others also followed. When they saw this scene, they did not understand what was going on. Someone immediately guessed that it could not be that kid who did it, right? Are you talking about the young prodigy who shouted at Lei Qianzhong? They sucked in a breath of cold air and thought of Lin Xian. That was impossible. However, some people did not dare to believe it. Was the other party really that bold? We'll know when we see it. The truth will come out soon. Sixth young master, get out here. First young master roared, shaking heaven and earth. In the palace, the fatty's expression was anxious. It's over, they still came to find us. Could it be that we've been exposed? Lin Xian said. Don't worry, we definitely won't be exposed. Don't be nervous. The fatty nodded, took a deep breath, and then deactivated the array formation. Big brother, why are there so many of you here? What happened? What happened? First young master was furious when he heard that. How dare you play dumb in front of me? Tell that kid beside you to come out. Come out. Yes, that's right, tell him to come out and die. Third young master also shouted coldly, his eyes filled with incomparable killing intent. What? Why are you looking for me? Before the fatty could say anything, Lin Xian walked out and looked around coldly. I embarrassed you yesterday, and you're here to take revenge? This is in front of everyone. Don't you care about your family's reputation at all? Brat, stop pretending. It's not because of yesterday's provocation. It's because someone went to my palace last night and killed all the geniuses I invited. That's right, I invited the geniuses, but they were all killed. They're all geniuses from top forces. How am I supposed to explain this to them? Third young master gritted his teeth and roared. Lin Xian rolled his eyes. What does it have to do with me that the person you invited was killed? You dare to say that you didn't kill him? What a joke. Do you have any evidence? Lin Xian's face darkened as he knew that he couldn't speak carelessly. You two have lost experts, but why are you looking for me? Is it just because I've gone against you? What a joke. Then let me ask you, who are the people who died? Naturally, they were the geniuses of the Vermilion Bird Palace, Dragon Valley, and Eight Desolation Palace. The eldest young master harumphed coldly. Hearing this, Lin Xian laughed even harder. You should know that these are all top geniuses. Those forces aren't any weaker than the Jiuyou family, right? I'm out of my mind. Go kill them. Besides, what evidence do you have to prove that I killed them? Could it be that you think my strength is so terrifying that I can kill so many experts silently? As soon as he said this, the surrounding crowd started to discuss. Indeed, in a one-on-one fight, those people might not be able to defeat Lin Xian. However, it was also impossible for Lin Xian to kill them silently with one move. What was even more strange was that among them, they were all killed with one move. They didn't even have a chance to resist or call for help. This wasn't something a first heaven saint could do. It was at least a small saint, or very likely a holy venerable. Who knows if it's you? Your cultivation is so low, but your combat strength is so strong. It's very suspicious. That's right. Although there's no concrete evidence now, as long as we capture you and interrogate you, we'll definitely find out. I think it's better to collect your soul. The first and third young masters walked up, their eyes filled with killing intent. Soul search. Everyone's scalps went numb. Lin Xian also frowned. Fatty was also unhappy. Big brother, third brother, aren't you going too far? Old Six, do you have the right to speak? Get lost. The first and third young masters roared. Fatty was so angry that his whole body trembled. Fuck. I'm going all out. I have to support Lin Xian now. He shouted coldly. When did your people die? Of course it was last night. Be more specific. After midnight. Old Six, you can't protect him at all. Don't try to cover up the murderer. Otherwise you'll end up very badly. The first young master's face was incomparably cold. Fatty clenched his teeth and said, if it happened last night, then it wasn't my brother who did it. Because at that time, my brother and I were chatting with Sister Yan Ran. What? As soon as he said that, the surrounding crowd was in an uproar. The first and third young masters were also stunned. Chatting with Yanran of Nine Nether? How could it be? Old Six, if you want to talk nonsense, don't blame me for breaking your legs. How can I talk nonsense about such an important matter? Fatty gritted his teeth and said to the servant beside him, quickly go and invite Sister Yanran over. No need, I'm already here. A cold voice came from afar. Then a beauty in purple walked over. Sister Yanran, you have to help me, Fatty said with an aggrieved face. Nine Nether Yanran looked at Fatty, then looked at Lin Xian and nodded slightly. Then she turned around and stared at the first and third young masters. She frowned and said, I've heard about what happened between the two of you. But this time, you're too arbitrary. You're arresting people without concrete evidence. This isn't the style of our Nine Nether clan. Yanran, are you going to protect him? The first young master asked coldly. Nine Nether Yanran said, I'm not protecting him. I'm just telling everyone the truth. Last night, I was indeed chatting with sixth young master Xian and Miss Meng. I can guarantee this with my status. The crowd was in an uproar. They didn't expect the other party to have such an obvious alibi. But thinking about it, a first heaven sage wouldn't be able to do this no matter how powerful he was. The first and third young masters were obviously trying to find someone to take the blame. Sure enough, when the first and third young masters heard Nine Nether Yanran's words, their faces became extremely ugly. They weren't sure that the other party was the culprit, but they couldn't do so anymore. They had to find someone to give the Vermilion Bird Palace and Eight Wind Palace an explanation. Otherwise, when those experts came, they wouldn't be able to explain. Now that it was impossible to make Old Six and Lin Xian take the blame, they had to find another way. The two of them turned around and wanted to leave. Wait a minute. However, Lin Xian spoke up at that moment. Everyone froze and turned around. They didn't understand what he wanted to do. Chapter 35:17. You're so aggressive. Using your status to oppress me, and you want to leave just like that? It can't be that simple. What is this kid talking about? Everyone was stunned. Even Fatty was stunned. Fuck, it wasn't easy to send his two brothers away. But now he dared to make a request? Fatty felt like he was going crazy. Even Yanran of Nine Nether was stunned. She didn't expect Lin Xian to be so bold. What do you want? Do you want us to apologize? Eldest young master said coldly. That's right, they should apologize. You did something wrong, so shouldn't you apologize? Moreover, you should apologize. Both of you give me a sage artifact each, and then sincerely apologize. I can forgive you this once. Fuck. What is he talking about? Asking the two young masters to apologize and give them two sage artifacts? Fuck, is this kid crazy? The surrounding people felt like they were going crazy. Third young master and eldest young master couldn't believe their ears. They were so angry that they laughed. Kid, what did you say? Say it again. Lin Xian sighed. Now all the experts and geniuses from all over the universe were here. This was a great opportunity for the Nine Nether tribe. But now someone actually dared to ruin the reputation of the Nine Nether tribe. If this spread to all over the universe, the loss wouldn't just be an apology. How simple would that be? Fuck, kid, how dare you threaten me? Third young master roared. Eldest young master's eyes were also filled with killing intent. Yanran frowned. The other party was right. If this continued, the Nine Nether tribe would be the one losing face. So, she looked at eldest young master and third young master. You two did wrong. You framed others before getting the evidence. I also think you should apologize. What? Eldest young master and third young master were stunned. Yanran also wanted them to apologize. What was going on? Yanran, who are we? Who does he think he is? Is he worthy of our apology? The two companies were proud. Yanran said, it's because of our special status that we should apologize. We should be humble. Only by being flexible can we lead the Nine Nether tribe in the future. This was what the ancestor said. Are you not going to listen to the old ancestor's lesson? Once this was said, the first and third young masters couldn't remain calm. They could ignore other people, but they couldn't ignore the old ancestor. The reason for that was because they had put forth a great deal of effort in order to gain the favor of their old ancestor. If they were to go against their old ancestor now, they would not be able to do anything. In that case, their fates would definitely be very miserable. Therefore, in order to please the old ancestor, the two of them had to apologize. They took a deep breath and said with great reluctance. The two of them cupped their fists and said, "This time we were rash and did not investigate thoroughly. Please forgive us." The surrounding people couldn't believe their eyes. Tianya, these two young masters actually apologized. Lin Xian crossed his arms and nodded slightly. For the sake of your ancestor, I won't pursue the matter this time. However, he couldn't afford to lose two saint artifacts. He even wanted a saint artifact. The faces of the two young masters turned green. Damn it. They didn't even have a saint artifact in their hands, and they were going to give it to the other party? What a joke. At this time, Nine Nether Yenran also said, "Young master, saint artifacts are too unusual. And this was just a misunderstanding. It didn't cause much damage. How about this? I'll let the two of them compensate you with a half-saint artifact each. How about that?" "All right, for the sake of the fairy," I'll reluctantly agree. Lin Xian nodded again. However, he smiled in his heart. Two half-saint artifacts were not bad. Moreover, they were refined by the Nine Nether clan, so their power was extraordinary. Damn it. The two young masters took out two half-saint artifacts reluctantly and threw them over. Then they left with dark faces and murderous auras. Lin Xian smiled and put away the two half-saint artifacts. Then, under the shocked gazes of the crowd, he invited Nine Nether Yenran in. The disturbance outside continued, but it had nothing to do with Lin Xian anymore. Now no one dared to suspect him. Moreover, the disturbance quickly subsided because the birthday of the living fossil had finally arrived. This day was incomparably lively. It was probably the busiest day in the entire Alchemy Valley in the past 1,000 years. On the plain, a huge sky palace floated up and down. It was a saint artifact refined by the old ancestor. At this moment, the birthday banquet was going on inside. Of course, those who could enter were not ordinary people. Those who were weaker could only stay outside. They didn't even have the right to enter the sky palace. The seats inside were also carefully arranged. There would not be any mistakes. Among them there were the older generation. Among the younger generation, Lei Qianzhong's position was the highest. The first young master accompanied him. Originally, there were seats for the Vermilion Bird Palace and 8 Wind Palace's geniuses. However, there was no need for them now. Under the first young master was the third young master and the geniuses around him. The fatty was further away, even closer to the main hall's entrance. One could imagine that his position in the family was not very high. Why didn't I see Nine Nether Yenran? Lin Xian was slightly surprised. He thought that Nine Nether Yenran's position should be higher than the first young master's. The fatty explained, "Sister Yenran must be with the old ancestor." Sure enough, after everyone sat down, a group of people walked out of the main hall. At the front was an old man. His white hair reached his ankles. He wore a loose red robe. At first glance, he gave off an immortal aura. He was the living fossil of the Nine Nether clan. To the left of the Nine Nether clan's old ancestor stood a beautiful woman. She was Nine Nether Yenran. At this moment, she was supporting the old ancestor as they slowly walked over. Nine Nether Yenran was even more beautiful today. She was still wearing a purple dress, but it was obvious that she had dressed up meticulously. She gave off an otherworldly aura. Behind her was a group of elders and experts. They were all important figures of the Nine Nether clan. Normally, they were also people of high status. However, this time no one looked at them. Instead, they were all looking at the figure at the front. It was the Nine Nether clan's old ancestor. The Nine Nether clan's old ancestor was very calm. It was as if he didn't care about anyone present. He walked slowly, but every step he took was very steady. Finally, he came to the north and sat down slowly. After seeing the old ancestor, the Nine Nether clan's martial artists bowed respectfully. The other experts also congratulated the old ancestor. Good, good, good. You don't have to be so polite. The old ancestor of the Nine Nether clan waited for everyone to finish bowing before he smiled. With a wave of his hand, everyone felt an invisible force holding their bodies back. Thank you for traveling thousands of miles and crossing worlds to come here. Yanran is here to toast everyone on behalf of the old ancestor. Nine Nether Yanran was the first to stand up. She took the spiritual wine and bowed slightly to everyone. Then she drank it in one gulp. Fairy Yanran is too polite. It is our fortune to be able to attend the old ancestor's birthday banquet. Chapter 35:18. The birthday banquet began, and everyone was ready to present their treasures. Everyone's faces were glowing. The 9 Netherbird clan hoped to be valued by the Grand Elder. That way, they might be able to take over the 9 Netherbird clan in the future. As for the outsiders, they hoped to have a chance to meet the Grand Elder alone. It was said that this way, they could ask the Grand Elder a question. Everyone was excited. Especially the first prince and third prince. They were the two most likely candidates to compete. Among the outsiders, Lei Qianzhong was probably the most powerful. Lin Xian looked at the living fossil curiously. He was very confident in presenting his treasures. This was because he felt that no one could make a living fossil more excited than him when he saw a treasure. Buzz. As if sensing Lin Xian's gaze, the living fossil in front of him turned his eyes and looked over. It was a short meeting. Lin Xian felt that the other party's eyes were deep and filled with the vicissitudes of time. Those eyes were like the sun, moon, and stars. His soul was almost lost in them. However, they returned to normal in an instant. The 9 Netherbird clan's Grand Elder was stunned and quickly retracted his gaze. He was still expressionless, but in his heart, he was very surprised. Who was this young man? It was hard to believe that he wasn't affected by him. That person was standing next to the fatty. If he was standing next to the first prince or third prince, the living fossil wouldn't be surprised because those two were the most outstanding of the younger generation of the 9 Netherbird clan. However, the fatty wasn't considered outstanding in the clan. How did he manage to recruit such a person? He was very curious. He looked at Lin Xian again and saw that Lin Xian was very calm. It was as if he wasn't affected by the atmosphere at all. On the other hand, the saints around them were all excited. What a strange young man. The great Supreme Elder was astonished. The fatty didn't know that Lin Xian was being watched by their Grand Elder. He said anxiously, "Brother, do you think my 3,000 ancestral green gold will work?" Lin Xian smiled. "Sure, no problem. Even if it can't be compared to your two brothers, it won't fall behind." "That's right." Fatty nodded. Indeed, this was a material for crafting saint artifacts. At this moment, the eldest young master stood up. Everyone looked over. It seemed like the eldest young master wanted to see the treasure. What kind of treasure is this young master going to find? With eldest young master's status and wealth, that treasure definitely wouldn't be bad. The surrounding people were discussing animatedly. They were all very curious. The eldest young master said with a smile, "Grandson wishes old ancestor good fortune as the East Sea and longevity as long as the South Mountain. Thanks to the great fortune of the old ancestor, I managed to obtain a bunch of treasures by chance." It was a blue sky painting. Someone had found it on the stone wall of the ancient cavern. It was said that an ancient holy venerate left it behind while cultivating. It was very useful for comprehending the great Tao of heaven and earth. This grandson is willing to offer it to the old ancestor. The crowd was in an uproar. The blue sky picture was left behind by the holy sage. This was a heaven-shaking treasure. Everyone was going crazy. They didn't expect that the eldest young master would take out such a precious treasure right off the bat. The faces of the 9 Nether tribe's youngsters instantly darkened. Damn it, they were suppressed by their boss again. They reckoned that no one could compete with him. Initially, they were full of confidence and thought that their treasures were very good. However, when their boss took out the blue sky picture, everyone gave up. Who could compete with the treasure left behind by the holy sage? The fatty also sucked in a breath of cold air. Holy shit, was he on steroids? Where did he get such a thing? The eldest young master revealed a satisfied smile. Not to mention the old ancestor's attitude, just the envious and jealous gazes of the surrounding people made him very happy. He wanted to be the center of attention. "Humph, a bunch of trash, how dare you compete with me?" Looking at the people in the tribe, The eldest young master was even more disdainful. This time, he would definitely be able to secure his position as the young clan leader. The third young master's face also changed. Initially, he was quite confident in his own gift. However, he didn't expect the eldest young master's gift to be so precious. In this case, he wasn't very confident anymore. However, no matter what, he had to give it a try. Therefore, the third young master also stood up and said quickly, "Old ancestor, I also got a treasure." Buzz. He flipped his palm, and an apple-sized gem appeared. The gem was crystal clear. It was red for a while, then blue for a while. When it was red, it had a scorching aura. When it was blue, it had a cold aura. What a magical gem. It must be a mutated divine crystal. The surrounding people were surprised. However, some of the older generation exclaimed, "What is this? Could it be that thing?" They were extremely excited. That's right. I think some of the elders and seniors have already guessed it. The third young master smiled. It was that thing. It wasn't an immortal state but a monster core. It was the inner core of a monster saint. This monster saint's cultivation was only at the second heaven of the sage realm. However, he was an extremely rare ice-fire beast. What? The inner core of an ice-fire beast? Everyone exclaimed again. The ice-fire beast was a monster beast of heaven and earth. Moreover, it was extremely rare and was almost extinct. Its inner core was very magical. It contained both the great Tao of ice and fire. Moreover, it wasn't the ordinary great Tao of ice and fire. It was a great Tao that could perfectly merge. It could be said that the inner core of an ice-fire beast was extremely precious, especially a sage level one. This treasure was also extremely amazing. The third young master smiled when he saw the crowd exclaim in admiration. The first young master frowned slightly. The item that the third young master took out was also not simple. However, he was more confident in his blue sky painting. The other members of the 9 Netherbird clan became very bitter. Damn, is the first young master and third young master on steroids? The treasures they took out are so powerful. Next, the others began to take out their treasures. However, those treasures would definitely be dazzling if they were taken out on a normal day. However, compared to the blue sky painting and the ice fire beast's inner core, they were much weaker. For a moment, no one was talking about it. The first young master and the third young master had stolen the limelight. Sixth young master. Why haven't you taken action yet? Don't tell me you're not prepared. The third young master glanced at the fatty. The first young master also said coldly, "Don't you care about the ancestors' birthday banquet? How is that possible? I have been meticulously preparing for the ancestors' birthday banquet." The fatty stood up and took out 3,000 pieces of green ancestral gold. Immediately, there was another round of exclamations. This was a material for refining divine artifacts. It was very precious. Although it was not as precious as the blue sky painting and the ice fire beast's inner core, it was definitely ranked third. It surpassed the others' treasures. For a moment, everyone was incomparably shocked. The sixth young master was usually at the bottom. How could he be in the top 3 now? Damn it, where did he get such precious metal? He could not afford it even if he was beaten to death. Chapter 35:19. The item that the fatty took out was suspicious because 3,000 pieces of ancestral green gold was extremely precious. Even some saints could not afford it. Now that the fatty took it out, everyone could not help but be suspicious. Even 9 Nether Yenran was surprised. She did not expect her 6th brother to be able to take out such a treasure. It was really surprising. The third young master's expression also darkened. He had long heard that the fatty had something good, but he did not expect it to be true. He had tried to snatch it before, but failed. Now that the fatty took it out, he had stolen the limelight. Umph. He sneered. He really couldn't tell that number 6 wasn't much on normal days. He didn't expect him to be able to take out such a treasure. I'm just curious about the origin of the treasure. Can you afford it with your wealth? Sure enough, many people looked at the fatty suspiciously. The fatty's expression changed, but he soon calmed down. He sneered. Third brother did not need to worry about whether he could afford it or not. But if you have doubts, you can investigate it. I have a very honorable background, Am not afraid of you investigating. Umph. The third young master snorted. The others did not say anything. Since the fatty acted like this, there should be no problem. Many people from the Nine Nether tribe were shocked, and their faces were filled with jealousy. It was fine if they could not compete with the eldest and third young masters, but now they could not even compete with the sixth brother? Once the people of the Nine Underworlds clan offered up their treasures, they would become outsiders. Many of them offered many treasures, causing everyone's eyes to light up. However, the most eye-catching one was Lei Qianzhong. Lei Qianzhong took out a jade bottle and said loudly, "This is an elixir, an ancient elixir. I got it from an ancient cavern. I don't know the name of the elixir, but I named it the longevity elixir because this elixir can increase one's lifespan by 50 years. What? Everyone was in an uproar when they heard this. The living fossil Supreme Elder opened his eyes abruptly, and his eyes shone with a shocking light. Previously, neither the blue sky illustration nor the ice fire inner core attracted the living fossil's attention. Although these treasures were good, the living fossil had seen too many treasures in his life. Especially at his status, treasures were no longer what he pursued. What he pursued was power and life. However, at his level of cultivation, it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens if he wanted to advance any further. It was very common for him to be trapped for hundreds or thousands of years without being able to advance any further. And there was another thing that made him very anxious, because he didn't have much time left. If he still couldn't make a breakthrough, he would most likely die. By then, no matter how powerful he was, he wouldn't be able to escape the 6 paths of reincarnation. But now, someone actually took out a pill that could increase his lifespan by 50 years, which made him go wild with joy. The others were even more envious. Medicinal pills that could increase one's life were the most precious. They could only be envious because they knew that this pill was for living fossils. As expected, Lei Qianzhong smiled and looked at the living fossil. "This is a small gift from Junior. I hope Senior will accept it." Good. Lei Qianzhong finally laughed. He said, "Yanran, if that's the case then take it." Yanran of Nine Nether's face was also filled with excitement. She carefully received the elixir pills from young Master Lei and bowed slightly to express her gratitude. Then he turned around and came to the living fossil's side and took the jade bottle. The living fossil's hands were trembling. After receiving it, he immediately probed with his soul. Then he laughed excitedly. It was indeed a miraculous elixir. There were even more screams in the surroundings. They knew that there was probably no other item that could be more valuable than this. It seemed that Lei Qianzhong could make a request to the living fossil. As for what it was, they were even more curious. With Lei Qianzhong's status and strength, what kind of request could he make? The eldest young master also revealed a proud smile because he was the one who invited Lei Qianzhong. The third young master's face darkened. They also took out many treasures, but none of them could compare to this life elixir. While the fatty's eyes widened. Damn, this is really an eye-opener. He was already very satisfied with his performance this time. Although he didn't get first place, he was still in the top 3. Thinking about it, after this birthday banquet, his identity and status would definitely undergo an earth-shaking change. Of course, all of this was because of Lin Xian. Therefore, he looked at Lin Xian gratefully. "Brother, I really have to thank you this time. If you need anything in the future, just say the word. If I don't do anything, I'm not human." "Don't say that, I really do have something. Didn't you guys say that someone could make a request to the living flower stone? I'm going to make a request to your old ancestor." "What?" The fatty was so shocked that he almost fell off his chair. He said, "Brother, stop joking." Although the rumor was true, this opportunity was too rare. Everyone wanted to fight for it. Especially now that Lei Qianzhong took out a life elixir. No one could compare to it. Why don't you just give something casually? In the fatty's opinion, it was useless no matter what Lin Xian gave. Since that was the case, he shouldn't waste the treasure. That might not be the case. I'm determined to get this spot. Just watch. After saying that, he stood up. I also have a treasure to give to the Grand Elder. Lin Xian's voice echoed in the hall. Countless people looked over. It's him. It's actually this kid. They recognized Lin Xian. After all, Lin Xian was the one who provoked Lei Qianzhong. In the end, he forced the first and third young masters to leave. It could be said that he won the attention of countless people. This guy's identity was definitely not ordinary. What kind of treasure could he give? It's useless. No matter how good his gift was, could it be better than the life elixir? That's right. This guy must be here for the spot. But now it seems impossible. Humph. Lei Qianzhong also glanced at Lin Xian, revealing a cold smile. Competing with him in terms of treasures? The difference was too great. Previously, during the competition, he was suppressed by Lin Xian. Now he could finally get back at Lin Xian. His companion beside him sneered. Kid, I advise you not to waste your energy. No matter what you take out, it won't be able to compare to my young master's elixir. That's right, this spot will definitely belong to my young master. The first young master also laughed. A trace of coldness appeared in his eyes. What does this fellow cultivator want to give? Why don't you open our eyes? Previously, when he saw Lin Xian's performance, he was also gnashing his teeth. Now that he could suppress Lin Xian, he was naturally willing. Chapter 35-20. Unless it was also a longevity pill, and one with an even longer lifespan. However, this kind of longevity pill wasn't a cabbage, it was extremely precious. A single longevity pill was enough to make countless saints go crazy with envy. It wasn't easy for one to appear. How could there be a second one? They wouldn't believe it even if they were beaten to death. The Supreme Elder didn't raise his head. He didn't even look at Lin Xian, because his gaze was locked onto the jade bottle in his hand. His attention was completely attracted by the longevity pill in his hand. Lin Xian didn't care about it at all. He said, this treasure of mine is incredible. As long as I take it out, no one can compare to it. No one can compare to it. What a joke. Can you compare to the longevity pill? Kid, stop bragging, take out whatever you have. The first and third young masters mocked him. Lin Xian smiled. What I took out is really a longevity pill, and it's a 100-year longevity pill. What? Everyone went crazy. Lin Xian's voice reverberated throughout the hall. Furthermore, it was a medicinal pill that could increase one's lifespan by 100 years. How is that possible? They had thought of countless possibilities. They thought that Lin Xian was bragging, but they didn't expect him to have a longevity pill. Moreover, it was twice as old as Lei Qian's Hong's. Impossible. Lei Qianzhong shook his head. How could he have a 100-year longevity pill? He had spent a lot of effort to get it, because he had two goals in coming to the first astral boundary. Firstly, he wanted to announce a big piece of news, and secondly, he had his own selfish motives. He knew that the Netherworld tribe was a family of blacksmiths, and he had a weapon crafting blueprint in his hand. He wanted the living fossil to help him craft a weapon. This weapon was extremely important to him, so he had to take out the longevity pill. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken out such a precious pill even if he was beaten to death. Now, someone had taken out the same pill, and it was twice as effective as his. This was absolutely impossible. The first and third young master's expressions were extremely interesting. Soon, the first young master snorted. Are you kidding me? What do you think the Netherworld tribe is? Do you think you can play around with us? Men, throw this unreasonable person out. Immediately, someone walked over to them. This change was too sudden. Everyone didn't even have time to react. Lin Xian sneered, what? You want to throw me out? Sure, go ahead. However, you old men will lose 100 years of your lifespan. Can you bear the consequences? The first young master of the youngst impossibles a longevity pills ts impossibles the young masters tossed the young master shouted the martial artists in front hesitated. But at this time, Nine Nether sweetly shouted out, stop! What is this? The High Ancestor is still here. What right do you have to be so impudent? Young the young master to S9 Nether Yenran looked at Lin Xian. Sir, is what you said true? The patriarch beside her also raised his head with a look of disbelief in his eyes. A 50-year-old pill had already made him extremely excited. Now there's an extra 100 years? He felt like he was in a dream. Of course it's true. Lin Xian asked. I heard that whoever takes out the best treasure can make a request of the living fossil? I wonder if that's true. So this kid is planning to do that. The young masters, the crowd was shocked. If your gift is the best, I'll agree to any of your requests. At that moment, the living fossil spoke personally. Any request. Personally agreed. The young masters, the crowd went crazy. Lei Qianzhong's lips curled into a smile. That's the same as saying to me. Moreover, he didn't believe that Lin Xian could take out something better than his longevity pill. Alright, Grand Elder, take a look at this. Lin Xian flipped his hand and took out a jade box. The jade box was half the size of a palm and emitted a dim light. Lin Xian slowly opened the jade box. Inside the jade box was a pill the size of a longan, surrounded by countless runes of the Great Tao. A rich pill fragrance quickly wafted out. The people around them were immediately intoxicated when they smelled it. This is? Their eyes widened as they felt an incredible change in their bodies. I call it the super longevity pill. It can increase one's lifespan by 100 years. Another longevity pill, and it's a super longevity pill. Enough to increase one's lifespan by 100 years. Doesn't that mean it's twice as effective as the pill Lei Qianzhong gave me? Oh my heavens, where did this kid get such a good thing? The Grand Elder's eyes lit up. He couldn't wait to grab the longan pill and carefully compare it with the pill in the jade bottle in his hand. In the next moment, he suddenly stood up. A terrifying holy aura emanated from his body. That was the energy he couldn't suppress due to his excitement. There really is such a pill in this world. The Grand Elder was too excited again. He raised his head and stared at Lin Xian. Young master, where did you get this pill? Do you have more? I want as many as you have. The crowd was in an uproar. Looking at the reaction of the living fossil, could it be true? Could it increase one's lifespan by 100 years? This old guy is quite greedy. Lin Xian rolled his eyes in his heart, but he didn't show any expression on his face. He said, I only have one of this in my hand, and I got it from an ancient ruin. Was there only one living fossil, Sai? But it makes sense. It's such a precious item. How could there be more? Now that two of them appeared at once, it's already heaven-defying. How is that possible? Damn it. I don't believe it. Lei Qianzhong's eyes widened. He couldn't accept it. The first and third young masters were also horrified. Does he really have such a heaven-defying treasure? This time, the ninth underworld clan had really struck it rich. Yes, no matter who comes first, the living fossil is equivalent to an extra 150 years of lifespan. The surrounding elders were also extremely envious. This kind of pill that could increase one's lifespan was incomparably tempting to anyone. It was impossible to increase one's lifespan by 150 years. Lin Xian said, this kind of thing can only be eaten once. It won't have any effect if you eat it again. The meaning of his words was obvious. The living fossil could only choose one of the two, and it was impossible to get two of these pills at the same time. The other's eyes turned red. If the living fossil chooses the 100-year pill, then Lei Qianzhong's pill will be empty. Doesn't that mean we have a chance? Thinking of this, their eyes flickered. I must find a chance to get this pill. Chapter 35:21. Ha 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 ha. Of course it's your pill that's better. The living fossil looked at Lin Xian. However, he did not hand over the 50-year lifespan pill. Even if he couldn't consume it, it would still be a great fortune for him. Lei Qianzhong's expression instantly turned ugly. Damn it, he had lost the right to enter, and it seemed like the other party wanted to take his pill. He stood up and harumphed coldly. If that's the case, please return the pill to me, Grand Elder. If he couldn't get a spot, it would be meaningless for him to give the pill. The crowd was in an uproar. Some of the Nine Nether tribe were dissatisfied and whispered, what kind of stingy Mr. Lei was? How could he take back the pill he gave away? Wasn't this too laughable? What did you say? Lei Qianzhong's eyes lit up. Do you know what it means to increase my lifespan? Does the Nine Nether tribe dare to touch my things? Let me tell you, I'm from the second astral realm. The second astral realm. Many people were shocked. They had already guessed the other party's identity, but they didn't expect him to be from the second astral realm. Of course, there were also some who were confused. They didn't know what the second astral realm was. But soon, their faces were filled with fear. I'm from the second astral realm, Sky Thunder City, the disciple of the Sky Thunder Sacred King. What, the sacred king's disciple? The person in front of them was the sacred king's disciple. The surrounding people went crazy. No wonder he was so powerful and could reach the third sky of the sage realm at such a young age. He was the sacred king's disciple. Even Lin Xian was shocked. The second astral realm. The sacred king. The second astral realm is the second part of the ancient star path. You will go there in the future. The geniuses and experts in the second astral realm are even more terrifying. It's far more powerful than the world you're in now. Heishan transmitted his voice. After Lin Xian heard this, he took a deep breath. It seemed that it was necessary for him to learn more about the two-star realm. Lei Qianzhong sneered when he saw the terrified gazes of the crowd. Now, do you still dare to covet my treasure? The 9 Nether tribes members felt their scalps going numb. The sacred king? How terrifying was that? A living sacred king could sweep everything away. They didn't dare to provoke him. The Grand Elder also frowned and faintly said, "Young master, you're thinking too much. I know you came to the 9 Netherbird clan with a purpose. We can discuss this matter in private. Don't worry, I won't disappoint you." Lei Qianzhong snorted coldly and didn't say anything. He knew that after he revealed his identity, the other party would probably cooperate with him. At this time, eldest young master also went forward to comfort them, and the atmosphere gradually calmed down. "Senior living fossil, can you fulfill my request now?" Lin Xian said in a deep voice. He didn't expect Lei Qianzhong to be so noble that he dared to talk back to a living fossil. However, the living fossils and the 9 Hells race didn't seem to dare to resist. This was not good for him. He was afraid that this living fossil would go back on his word. The living fossil was also rather impatient. "Young master, follow me." The birthday banquet continued, but the 2 of them had already left and were walking towards the depths of the main hall. After entering a secret chamber in the depths of the sky, the living fossil said, "All right, what requests does young master have? Feel free to state them." Lin Xian didn't stand on ceremony and said, "My request is very simple. Help me upgrade this spirit boat to the level of a sacred artifact." Sacred artifact? The Grand Elder was stunned. He glanced at the black earth and then frowned. "Do you know what level a sacred artifact is? It's not an ordinary item, it's too precious. I can promise to help you upgrade it to the level of a half-sacred artifact." Damn. Old fox. Lin Xian cursed in his heart. He sneered. "I don't need to come to you for a half-sacred artifact. Although a sacred artifact is precious, it can't be compared to the pills I gave you. What, you want to go back on your word? You only know that Lei Qianzhong came from the second astral realm and didn't dare to provoke him. But do you know my identity? Let me tell you. I also came from the second astral realm. I don't even care about Lei Qianzhong. If you want to go back on your word, you can imagine the consequences." The living fossil's expression changed. "You also came from the second astral realm." He was too shocked. He had already investigated Lei Qianzhong's identity, but he didn't find out Lin Xian's identity. Now that Lin Xian said that he also came from the second astral realm, he was shocked. Seeing that the other party was still doubting him, Lin Xian secretly transmitted his voice. "Heishan, release some of your aura." In the next moment, Lin Xian took out a token. It was a very ordinary token without any deterrence, but Heishan's great sage aura was emitted from it, making it extremely mysterious. It was as if it could crush the entire world. The Great Elder sucked in a breath of cold air, his expression instantly changed. This aura was too terrifying. Could it be that this person really came from the terrifying holy city? Thinking of this, he no longer dared to act presumptuously. "Young master, please forgive me, I've already upgraded your grade." It was true that forging a sacred artifact cost a lot, but compared to 100 years of life, the Great Elder couldn't care less. 100 years was nothing to a young person, but to him, it was more precious than any sacred artifact. In addition, he had just obtained countless treasures, so he didn't have to worry about the lack of materials. Immediately, he used the 3,000 pieces of ancestral green gold and other materials to forge the sacred artifact. Before forging, Lin Xian asked how long it would take to completely forge the sacred artifact. The living fossil told him that it would take a very long time, at least 100 years. Lin Xian couldn't wait that long. And the living fossil was obviously unwilling to spend so much time forging the sacred artifact. Therefore, he thought of another method. That was, the Great Elder would arrange all the materials, and even carve all the great Taoists of heaven and earth. Then, it would absorb the power of heaven and earth and refine it. Although it would still take a long time to refine the sacred artifact, it would be more convenient for Lin Xian and the living fossil. That was because the living fossil didn't need to be stared at for a long time. And Lin Xian could also put it away and wait slowly. Of course, the Great Elder only dared to do this because his attainments in refining had reached the peak. Otherwise, no other refiner would be able to do it. Good. Lin Xian gladly agreed to this proposal. In the next year, the Great Elder began to modify the Black Earth. Outside, the birthday banquet had long since ended. Not only that, but there were also earth-shattering changes. Previously, the Vermilion Bird Palace, 8 Desolation Hall, and Dragon Valley's young geniuses had been killed. Chapter 35-22. The first and third young masters felt their scalps go numb. They couldn't find the culprit, but the culprit was killed by them. Therefore, one could imagine the pressure they were facing. Even the 9 Nether tribe felt the pressure and had a headache. At this moment, Lei Qianzhong made his move. He showed his identity as the Saint King's disciple and attracted the attention of the elders of the Vermilion Bird Palace and Dragon Valley. The 9 Nether tribe was also willing to compensate for the loss of the geniuses and give out a large number of weapons. This way, the elders of the Vermilion Bird Palace and 8 Wind Hall did not pursue the matter. Instead, they banded together and formed a new alliance with Lei Qianzhong as their leader. The reason for this alliance was simple. The Vermilion Bird Palace, Dragon Valley, and 8 Wind Hall came to the 9 Nether tribe to get a batch of weapons. They wanted to attack the Langya Star. However, they also wanted a special saint artifact to lock onto Lin Xian's location. This way, they could hunt him down. Lei Qianzhong's appearance made them ecstatic. He was a genius from the second astral realm. With his leadership, they could gather a large number of experts. This way, it would be easier to deal with the Langya Star. Lei Qianzhong had his own plans. He wouldn't be used as a tool, but when he heard that there was a great emperor's inheritance on the Langya Star, he couldn't stay calm anymore. He knew that the Hongwu Great Emperor's inheritance was not in Yan Nanshan's hands, but in the hands of someone else. This made him extremely jealous. He must obtain the Great Emperor's inheritance. Therefore, everyone joined forces. Deep in the hall, Lin Xian didn't know about this. He didn't know that he and the Langya Star were in a huge crisis. He was ecstatic because as time passed, the Black Tycoon had completed the initial transformation. Next, it only needed time to refine and use the Tao of Heaven and Earth to refine it into a saint artifact. This process took a year. Alright, the basic transformation is complete. Next, you can put it away and wait patiently. Under normal circumstances, with the Tao of Heaven and Earth that I engraved, it can completely transform into a saint artifact in 100 years. Of course, if you can shorten the time, it's not impossible if you can find the terrifying golden fire energy of heaven and earth. Then it will greatly shorten the time. However, this kind of golden fire power of heaven and earth was not so easy to find. The Supreme Elder said in a deep voice. Lin Xian nodded. It seemed that it was only a matter of time before the Black Earth became a sacred artifact. Our transaction is complete. Young master, please leave. The Grand Elder said in a low voice. This old man also needs to go into seclusion for a while. At this point his eyes were burning with passion. Okay. Lin Xian didn't tarry and quickly walked outside. When he came out he frowned because he found that there were people guarding the exit. And from the looks of it, his expression was unusually cold. Lin Xian was a little more cautious. With a flash of his body, he quietly hid in the void, avoiding the guards of these people. When he arrived outside the heavenly palace, he discovered that the aura of planet alchemy was very unusual. He wanted to return to Fatty's original palace, but he realized that Fatty's palace was also guarded by many people, and Fatty had a gloomy look on his face. What's going on? What happened? Where's Dream? And from the looks of it, Fatty seemed to be imprisoned. Lin Xian set up a formation to cover Fatty, then sent a voice transmission. Brother Yin, what's wrong with you? And where's Dream? Fatty jumped in fright. He thought that he had encountered a ghost, but soon he heard a voice transmission. Don't be agitated, answer me with a voice transmission. Fatty sent a voice transmission saying, good brother, you're out, you're finally out. That's great. Fatty was about to cry. Damn, he had been on tenterhooks for the past year. Dream was in another place, so she should be safe. As for the matter, after you and the old ancestor went in, those people from Vermilion Bird Palace and Dragon Valley came. They forced our Netherworld tribe to compensate with a large number of weapons. Then, these people actually joined forces and formed a new alliance with that Lei Qianzhong. They seemed to want to make a move against the legendary Lin Wudi and Langya Star. What? Lin Xian was stunned. Make a move against him and Langya Star. Damn it, those people from Vermilion Bird Palace really didn't give up. But that Lei Qianzhong was also involved. It couldn't be helped. Those people from Vermilion Bird Palace had revealed the Great Emperor's inheritance, forcing Lei Qianzhong to join them. They had already waited for a year. In another month or two, they would leave this place and make a move against Langya Star. Because I opposed eldest brother and third brother in the past, I've been imprisoned. Your friend Fantasy has also left. But they haven't caught us yet. They don't dare to make a move because you and the old ancestor have yet to come out. But with their personalities, I'm afraid they will punish us before they leave. Lin Xian's face darkened when he heard this. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Punish them? Damn it. These people had thoroughly infuriated him. First, these people wanted to make a move against him now. Second, these people had formed an alliance for him and Langya Star. They deserved to die 1,000 times over. Since that was the case, they couldn't blame him for being merciless. Fortunately, he came out early. If he came out a month or two later, these people would have already made a move. After calming down the fatty, Lin Xian asked about Dream's general location and then left. Sure enough, he found Dream in the mountain range. Palace Master, you're out. Dream was overjoyed and said anxiously. Oh no, they want to make a move against you and Langya Star. I already know. I won't let them succeed. Where are they now? Bring me there. The two turned into streams of light, hiding in the void and moving forward quietly. Lin Xian and Meng Meng also changed their appearances. No one knew that he was Lin Xian, and no one knew that he was the former young Master Xian. When they arrived at their destination, Lin Xian was stunned. These people weren't too far away from the Heavenly Palace. Instead, they had set up camp tens of thousands of miles away. This was also a place with abundant spiritual qi. At this moment, the alliance was quite spectacular. Not only were there Vermilion Bird Palace, but the original major forces were also there. Many experts and clans from all over the universe who had come to offer their blessings had also joined in. Firstly, the Great Emperor's inheritance was too tempting. Secondly, Lei Qianzhong had also sent a message. That was his purpose for coming here. The Sky Thunder City in the second astral realm was recruiting a new batch of genius disciples. Therefore, the other party's purpose in coming to the first astral realm was to recruit people. They wanted to recruit geniuses from the ancient road of the stars to go to the second astral realm. The news caused the geniuses to be extremely excited. The Great Emperor's inheritance was too elusive. If they could go to the second astral realm, join the legendary sacred city, and become the disciple of the Sage King. Chapter 35-23. A bunch of idiots. You're being used as cannon fodder, yet you're still feeling smug. You're courting death. Just as those people were getting excited, a cold voice sounded. Who dares to cause trouble here? The surrounding people turned their heads. Among them, those from Vermilion Bird Palace and Dragon Valley roared madly. Their terrifying roars shook the 9 heavens. What? Did I say something wrong? Or are you feeling guilty and don't want others to know the truth? The voice in the sky floated out again. Who told you that the Great Emperor's inheritance is in Lin Wudi's hands? It's obviously in Yin Nanshan's hands. This is all part of Vermilion Bird Palace's scheme. They want you to kill each other. Once your strength is greatly damaged, he and Yin Nantian will attack and kill all of you. Hearing this, the crowd went into an uproar. What? Is this true? It's possible. Yin Nantian can't be dead. How can the great emperor's inheritance be leaked? Damn it, who is it? Get out here. Vermilion Bird Palace's people roared madly. Lei Qianzhong also walked over from afar. His expression darkened as terrifying lightning surged from his body and spewed out in all directions. He was now the leader of the new alliance. Was someone provoking him by behaving atrociously in front of him? Buzz. He formed a hand seal. Above his head, countless bolts of lightning formed the eye of the thunder god looking down. It completely enveloped the entire space. I want to see who dares to play tricks in front of me. Playing tricks? You're the one who's guilty, aren't you? You want to kill all the prodigies in the universe, then let Vermilion Bird Palace's people enter the second astral realm. It was really a good plan. Damn it, this can't be real, right? Is this really an alliance between Vermilion Bird Palace and Lei Qianzhong? Are we really going to become cannon fodder? The surrounding people were discussing animatedly. Their faces were filled with anxiety. Lei Qianzhong shouted coldly, "Get out here." The Eye of Thunder emitted a terrifying light that pierced through the void. However, there was nothing there. There was only a pitch-black hole that was rapidly shattering. No one. How is this possible? Lei Qianzhong's pupils shrank. His Eye of the Thunder God was an extremely powerful soul detection ability that could easily lock onto a saint. But now, he couldn't find out where that person was? Who was it? The people from the Vermilion Bird Palace, Dragon Valley, and 8 Desolation Hall all searched for that person, but it was as if that person had never appeared. This scene left them dumbfounded. Could it be that they were hallucinating? In the air, Meng Meng and Lin Xian were constantly dodging. Hallmaster, what should we do next? Words alone probably wouldn't be able to disturb them. It seemed that he had no choice but to act. Lin Xian's eyes flashed. At this point, he had no choice but to act. However, at this moment, Black Mountain said, "Kid, don't panic. This place doesn't seem normal." Not searching? What did that mean? Lin Xian was surprised. Black Mountain carefully sensed the surroundings and realized that the golden fire plane wasn't as simple as it seemed. I didn't notice it before, but this time, I discovered that there seems to be another world beneath the golden fire plane. There was another world. Lin Xian was even more surprised. Black Mountain sensed carefully. That's right. I felt an extremely unusual aura beneath my feet. It's just that I haven't found the exact location yet. Why don't I go out to investigate while you intercept them and delay them for a while? All right. Lin Xian nodded and secretly let Black Mountain out. Then he had Meng Meng continue to hide in the air, ready to provide support at any time. Meanwhile, he stealthily revealed himself and blended into the crowd. The people in the crowd were paranoid. Lin Xian's lips curled into a cold smile. He said, "Is this true or not? You have to give us an explanation." This time Lin Xian didn't dodge at all, so his voice was immediately heard by those from Vermilion Bird Palace. Lei Qianzhong also abruptly turned his head and stared in their direction. Boom boom boom. Instantly, the area began to shatter. The surrounding people all paled and retreated. What a terrifying gaze. "Kid, were you the one who provoked us just now?" Many people stared at Lin Xian, as if wanting to tear him apart. They didn't recognize Lin Xian now because Lin Xian had changed his appearance and aura. What happened before? I don't know. I only know that you have to give us an explanation. Are you really treating us as cannon fodder? Is Vermilion Bird Palace really in cahoots with the second astral realm? Lin Xian's voice was sonorous. He looked at the surrounding people. Do you really want to be cannon fodder and be used as a tool by others? The surrounding people also had ugly expressions. Indeed, there were people who said, "We don't want to be cannon fodder. Give us an explanation." More and more voices rang out. Those from Vermilion Bird Palace had ugly expressions. Damn it, they're rebelling. You want to die. An expert from Vermilion Bird Palace roared. Terrifying flames surged from his body and swept across the 9 heavens. No one dared to make a sound under the pressure. Lin Xian sneered. You want to suppress us now that your scheme has been seen through? Are you really that daring to make an enemy out of our families and sects? Although we're not as good as Vermilion Bird Palace, we're not afraid of you. Yes, that's right. Let's join forces too. We definitely can't be their cannon fodder. Kid, you're courting death. That sage stared at Lin Xian. Although these people were doubtful before, no one dared to refute them. Now that there was a leader, the surrounding martial artists seemed to have a leader and dared to resist. Therefore, they felt that they had to get rid of this person first. The others naturally didn't dare to say anything. Go to hell. An expert from Vermilion Bird Palace attacked. The flames on his body formed a Vermilion Bird Divine Blade. The blade slashed down. Run. The martial artists in that area fled frantically. Lin Xian didn't run. Humph, you want to silence me? Flames also surged from his body, forming a large palm and slapping forward. Boom. An earth-shattering sound rang out. The Vermilion Bird Palace expert was forced back. Lin Xian laughed loudly. You want to lead us like this? We're not convinced. If you want us to attack, let us lead you in battle. We won't be controlled by others. Lin Xian didn't stop talking. He was trying to intensify the conflict. As expected, other than Vermilion Bird Palace and the other large sects, the others were all furious. They let out a tsunami of voices. They increasingly felt that this was a trap. Oh no, there's something wrong with this kid. Hurry up and kill him. The experts from Vermilion Bird Palace and Eight Wind Hall roared crazily. The sage who was forced back roared at the sky. His eyes instantly turned red, and monstrous killing intent swept out. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. He formed a seal with his palm, forming an immortal phoenix that charged over with boundless flames. It directly sent that sage flying. He had changed his appearance and didn't look like a young man. Therefore he didn't hold back. He forced the sage back. Chapter 35-24. I'm just a wandering cultivator. I only came here because I admire Senior Living Fossil. Now, it seems that you can't even defeat me. What right does Vermilion Bird Palace have to lead us? Why don't you let me lead you instead? Lin Xian's voice rang out clearly. Damn it, this guy is too strong. Let the Second Heaven Sage attack him. Boom. The Second Heaven Sage of Eight Wind Palace attacked, but he was pushed back again after a few moves. He's too strong. Could it be that even a Second Heaven Sage can't suppress him? The crowd was in an uproar. They now felt that Eight Wind Palace and Vermilion Bird Palace were nothing special. Any wandering cultivator could defeat them. Were they really going to be led by such a person? They were unwilling to accept it. Lin Xian laughed. Eight Wind Palace and Vermilion Bird Palace? If they can't do it, then what about Lei Qianzhong? Why don't we teach you a lesson? If you lose to me, then you'll have to admit that I'm your boss. You're courting death. Countless people roared. Lei Qianzhong's face turned cold, but he didn't attack because someone else had already attacked. This time, it was an elder of Dragon Valley who stepped forward. How dare you be so arrogant in front of us? You're courting death. His aura was incomparably strong. A late Third Heaven Sage. Not only that, but he also held a sacred weapon in his hand. It wouldn't be a problem for him to defeat a Fourth Heaven Sage. As expected, the people of Vermilion Bird Palace, Eight Wind Palace, and Dragon Valley all laughed coldly. Let's see how he's going to die. Not good. Dreamy's expression changed. This battle strength was too strong. She was worried that Lin Xian would be injured. Before she could make a move, another voice came from the crowd. A dignified Third Firmament Sage Elder wielding a sage artifact to bully an ordinary rogue cultivator was truly shameless. Why don't I fight you? Another figure walked out. This figure had a terrifying aura. The Tao of heaven and earth rumbled around him. Who is this person? The crowd was in an uproar. Even Lin Xian was shocked. However, at this moment, a voice came into his ears. Hall Master Lin, it's me Mubai. Elder Mubai. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. Elder Mubai was actually here. But thinking about it, even the Vermilion Bird Palace and Dragon Valley's experts were here. It was normal for the Wolf Fong Star to send one or two people to investigate. With Elder Mubai's help, Lin Xian was relieved. He retreated slightly. Elder Mubai started fighting with the other party, and a huge battle broke out. At first, everyone was disdainful. A level 3 sage with a sacred artifact could definitely destroy everything. However, They quickly discovered that the situation was not like that, because the two sides were evenly matched, and it was difficult to determine the victor. How could this be? The people of the Dragon Valley were going crazy. How could a third heaven saint with a holy weapon not be able to defeat him? Who was this person? Lin Xian laughed heartily at the side. So this is your elder? Your strength is really nothing much. People like you want to lead us? What a joke. The surrounding people were getting more and more shaken, and they also wanted to resist. Kill him. The experts of the 8 Desolate Hall also rushed over. Fantasy also came out and clashed with the experts of the 8 Emperor's Palace. Terrifying energy swept out in all directions, soaring into the sky. Another person tried to attack Lin Xian, but he was sent flying by Lin Xian. Lin Xian stomped his foot and rushed towards Lei Qianzhong. Let me see how you lead these heroes. As he spoke, he grabbed at Lei Qianzhong with his huge hand covered in flames. You're courting death. Lei Qianzhong's companions roared. The two of them attacked, and a terrifying Tao of heaven and earth swept towards Lin Xian. Pung pung. The terrifying power of the flaming palm shattered the two Tao of heaven and earth. The two who attacked also had their palms smashed and were sent flying. The people at the side felt their hair stand on end. Isn't this person too strong? Injuring them with just a wave of his hand. Who is this person? Who are you? Lei Qianzhong's eyes emitted a cold light, as if he wanted to pierce through the other party. The person who will kill you. Lin Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. The flames on his body turned into a fire qilin and roared as it charged forward. Get lost. Lei Qianzhong roared crazily. Lightning surged from his body, turning into thousands of thunder bolts that attacked. Boom, boom, boom. The power of thunder and fire collided. The two Tao of heaven and earth clashed. Wang. Lin Xian's palm turned into 100,000 feet tall mountain and slammed onto Lei Qianzhong's body, sending Lin Xian flying. Lei Qianzhong continued to roll on the ground. His body was charred black, and the people around him went crazy. Lei Qianzhong was forced to retreat. This was too unbelievable. Damn brat, go to hell. Lei Qianzhong roared. Countless lightning runes appeared on his body, especially on his forehead, where a terrifying Tao of heaven and earth appeared. That was a seal. At this moment, the seal was quickly dissolved. His aura also erupted like 100,000 thunderbolts, causing the void to explode. Countless people were sent flying. In the next moment, a figure could be seen floating in the sea of lightning. It was Lei Qianzhong. Although his appearance didn't change much, his aura had undergone an earth-shattering change. At this moment, Lei Qianzhong was like a thunder god, roaring towards the sky. Third heavenly layer venerable. Many people felt their scalps go numb, and their faces were filled with fear. They had heard that Lei Qianzhong had sealed his cultivation. They thought it was just a legend, but now it seemed that it was true. Now that Lei Qianzhong had broken the seal, his cultivation had reached the third heavenly layer. There was definitely an earth-shattering change compared to before. Die for me. A fist of thunder carrying boundless law of thunder blasted over. Everything in its path collapsed. Nothing could withstand the violent power. Wang. Many people were affected, and their bodies exploded into a bloody mist. Lin Xian used the Kuanping movement technique to dodge. He was also surprised when he was hit by the energy shockwave on his back. Such a violent aura. As expected of the Saint King's disciple, his strength was truly terrifying. Alright, I'll play with him. Lin Xian's eyes emitted a golden light, and the sword intent in his body also spread out. A terrifying aura was about to erupt. However, at this moment, He Shan transmitted a message to him. Kid, don't attack. I've found them. You go first and lead them to a place. Hearing this, Lin Xian's heart shook. He withdrew the violent sword intent and turned to leave. At the same time, he transmitted a message to Mu Bai and Meng Meng, telling them to quickly retreat as well. Although Mu Bai and Meng Meng didn't understand what was going on, they immediately retreated after receiving the message. Where do you think you're going? Lei Qianzhong roared. Now that he had broken the seal, how could he allow them to escape? Endless lightning formed, and 8 lightning dragons crawled under his feet, carrying him as he flew. On the other side, the 8 Wind Palace's experts also roared and charged over. The Vermilion Bird Palace's elders roared, "Stop them! Don't let them escape!" Chapter 35-25. Countless experts chased after him, and the surrounding people also followed suit. Between heaven and earth, it was as if dark clouds were gathering, causing the entire world to tremble. Lin Xian was flying ahead. He asked, "Black Mountain, what's going on?" "Kid, there's another space under the Golden Fire Plains, but it's covered by a peerless formation. Ordinary people can't find it at all. If it weren't for my incredible abilities, I wouldn't have noticed it either. There's a peerless formation here." Lin Xian was shocked. To be honest, he didn't notice it at all. His formation skills were much stronger than ordinary sages, but he didn't notice it. Moreover, this was the Netherworld tribe's territory. How could the Netherworld tribe not notice it at all? However, when he thought about how Black Mountain was a great sage in the past, he realized that it was impossible for anyone who wasn't a great sage to detect him. "Can you break it?" he asked. "If I was at my peak, I could break it with a single slap. Unfortunately, I'm only at the first layer. I can't break it." "Of course, I'll be able to break it if you give me 8 to 10 years. Are you kidding me?" They were being chased by countless sages. "Is there no other way?" "Of course there is. Who do you think I am?" Black Mountain smiled. "I asked you to lure those people here, so that I can borrow their strength to break the formation. With so many sages attacking together, they can definitely break the formation." "I understand." Lin Xian nodded, then sent the news to Mu Bai and Meng Meng. The two of them were shocked when they heard that there was a peerless formation here. They didn't notice it at all. However, they believed in Lin Xian's words. He definitely wouldn't be wrong. After flying for a while, they finally arrived at the place Black Mountain mentioned. The surroundings were desolate and quiet. There weren't many people, and there weren't even many demon beasts. It was hard to imagine that there was a peerless formation here. "You can't escape." Lei Qianzhong took the lead. He was very fast, so he caught up to Lin Xian in the blink of an eye. A lightning blade appeared in his hand and he slashed down. Kaboom! The fearsome power of thunder shook the 9 heavens. Lin Xian leaned to the side and dodged the saber. The nomological powers on the saber struck his body with a resounding sound, causing his lifeblood to churn. Countless flames jumped out from his body and formed a shield, blocking the terrifying thunder. At the same time, he flashed and flew to the left. At the same time, the army of experts behind them charged over and surrounded them. "You won't be able to escape. Since you dared to break our alliance, you will definitely die today." Cold voices rang out one after another. A powerful force sealed the entire world. Kill! With Lei Qianzhong as the leader and so many saints attacking at the same time, the power of this attack was simply too terrifying. The area in front of him was directly destroyed. "Let's go too!" Lin Xian bellowed, and Mu Bai and Fantasy instantly came to his side. Mu Bai took out a scroll. The scroll flickered with unparalleled power of the stars. It directly enveloped the three of them and tore open the void. "Not good, they are too strong, especially that Lei Qianzhong. He is the Saint King's disciple. His current attack can affect us." Mu Bai's face paled. Originally, they could hide in the void and dodge it. However, this time around, they discovered that they were actually unable to completely dodge it. The berserk lightning was closely following them. At this moment, Lin Xian's body suddenly emitted a terrifying power of space, enveloping the three of them. Their bodies disappeared from the space in an instant. As soon as they disappeared, the thunder pierced through the void, but it didn't hit them at all. Buzz! They appeared from another space. They dodged it. Fantasy let out a sigh of relief, but Sage Mu Bai's eyes widened. This was a spatial ability. Hall Master Lin, you actually know spatial ability? He was simply too shocked. Spatial ability was an extremely powerful and strange ability. Very few people could comprehend it. After all, space was king. Lin Xian smiled mysteriously, but didn't explain anything. Spatial ability was taught to him by Gu Santong. Because he helped Gu Santong and the Gu family, Gu Santong taught him a spatial ability. It was called the spatial escape technique. He was currently using the spatial escape technique. Did he kill them? On Lei Qianzhong's side, countless people looked around. Humph, they are definitely going to die. Lei Qianzhong also revealed a cold smile. He had already released the seal. In addition to the killing blow just now, how could they have dodged it? What is this? Suddenly someone exclaimed. The space in front of them had already shattered due to their previous attack. The ground also sank, and a bottomless black hole appeared. Within the black hole, countless lights flickered. Soon a formation appeared in front of everyone. This formation was simple and unadorned. It was engraved with the Tao of heaven and earth, filling the entire space. A formation, and an ancient one at that. How exquisite! Screams rang out. How could there be a formation here? Not good. Could this be a trap set up by the three of them? As soon as these words were spoken, the surrounding people's faces changed in fright. They quickly defended themselves, and many saint realms rushed into the sky. At the same time, the Tao of heaven and earth filled the space. These people were on high alert. After waiting for a long time, they still didn't see any attacks. What's going on? These people were even more puzzled. No, the Vermilion Bird Palace master shook his head. It wasn't set up by the three of them. There was already a grand formation here. There was already one. How could this be? The Golden Alchemy sect's people went crazy. Nine Nether's group was also stunned. This was their territory. How could they not know there was a formation here? Looking at how exquisite the formation was, it definitely wasn't set up by an ordinary person. Could it be that there was something hidden here? Lei Qianzhong's eyes lit up. With a wave of his hand, endless amounts of lightning flew out, striking the formation. The formation shook violently, but it soon calmed down. An attack from a third firmament saint. It couldn't harm the formation at all. Seeing this scene, Lei Qianzhong was enraged. Instead of being angry, he revealed a smug smile. Great, my guess was right. There must be a treasure trove below. A treasure trove, could there be something good sealed here? The surrounding people's eyes lit up. This was truly an unexpected surprise. Don't move, we're from the same alliance, of course we have to listen to the alliance leader. The Vermilion Bird Palace master stepped forward, looking at Lei Qianzhong. Alliance master, it's up to you to lead us in breaking the formation. Good. Lei Qianzhong was very satisfied with the Vermilion Bird Palace master's attitude. Chapter 35-26. Those people began to break the array. Watching this scene from the void, Meng Meng frowned. How could the Vermilion Bird Palace lower themselves so much? Elder Mubai coldly snorted. Yen Nantian was dead and the Vermilion Bird Palace had lost their greatest hope. Naturally, they would need to find a replacement. Lei Qianzhong's talent and strength were both top-notch. Moreover, he was the Sage King's disciple. If they could establish a good relationship with him, then the Vermilion Bird Palace would have another layer of protection. Indeed, it wasn't just the Vermilion Bird Palace, the Dragon Valley, and the 8 Desolate Hall that wanted to curry favor with Lei Qianzhong. When those people attacked together, it was a terrifying force that caused the entire world to tremble violently. In the end, under Lei Qianzhong's guidance and the violent bombardment, a crack finally appeared on the peerless array. Below, there was a layer of hazy light that looked like a dream. When the sages saw it, they cried out in surprise. A space of its own. Lei Qianzhong's lips curled into a smile. As expected, there was another world below. His figure flickered and he couldn't wait to descend. His companions quickly followed behind him. Next was the Vermilion Bird Palace, the Dragonbone Palace, and the 9 Nether Tribe. The others also followed behind, afraid that they would be left behind. Let's move too. On the other side, Lin Xian, Meng Meng and Elder Mubai quietly followed behind, and also entered the space below. After entering, the scene inside was shocking. The space below was bigger than they had imagined. Moreover, there were many mountains with monstrous flames on top of them, accompanied by a terrifying chaotic aura. Within the mountains there was a phenomenon of heaven and earth. Various kinds of thunder danced wildly like demonic beasts. Those flames constantly turned into stars, blooming between heaven and earth. The terrifying aura caused the hair of those who entered to stand on end. What a powerful fire energy! Lin Xian's eyes widened when he entered. He was wild with joy. Wasn't this the fire he needed? One had to know that the Black Earth had already completed its initial construction. In order to completely evolve into a saint artifact, it would take around 100 years under normal circumstances. However, the 9 nether tribes living fossil had said that under special circumstances, this time would be greatly shortened. For example, finding an extremely terrifying flame between heaven and earth. With the power of that flame, it could quickly evolve. Lin Xian noted this down. When he had time, he would search for it or wait until he returned to the Langia star. He started searching with the star's information. However, he didn't expect there was another world under the golden fire plains. Furthermore, there was actually such a strange and terrifying flame in this world. This was the flame he needed. If he obtained it, the Black Earth wouldn't need 100 years to evolve. Would take form in a short time. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a fiery light. The heavens are really helping me. Not only him, but the people around him also became ecstatic after the initial panic. The power of fire here was too terrifying. If they could obtain it, it would be a supreme treasure for them. The people of the 9 Netherbird clan laughed wildly. They were blacksmiths, and this kind of flame was a great temptation to them. Needless to say, those from the Vermilion Bird Palace were all fire elemental saints. The powerful beings from the Dragon Valley also had flickering eyes. Lei Qianzhong's eyes glowed even brighter. Although he cultivated the Tao of Lightning, it didn't stop him from comprehending another Tao. Moreover, this Tao of Fire was definitely not weaker than his lightning. Everyone had their eyes on the flame. That thing is mine now. Lei Qianzhong took the lead and walked forward. The others were stunned. Should they give such a precious flame to him? Yours. You're not worthy. At this moment, a disdainful voice sounded. Who was it? Everyone's scalps went numb. Although they were dissatisfied, no one dared to openly oppose Lei Qianzhong. Lei Qianzhong was also stunned. Lightning surged from his body in all directions. Who dares to stop me? It's me. A figure descended from the sky. He stopped Lei Qianzhong. It's you. Lei Qianzhong frowned. Many people exclaimed when they realized that the person in front of them was Black Cloak. He was the one who provoked Lei Qianzhong before. Lei Qianzhong didn't fight him back then. Everyone guessed that Black Cloak was also a genius from the second astral realm. Yuan Mo, you dare to stop me? Lei Qianzhong was also enraged. He sneered. I've already broken the seal. You're courting death if you try to stop me. So what if you've broken the seal? We're in the same realm. I'm not afraid of you. Yuan Mo sneered. Also, if you want to live, I advise you to get lost. You don't have the right to take anything here. He was incomparably domineering. A terrifying saber light rushed out from his body. Countless large cracks appeared in the space, causing everyone's heart to go cold. Boom. Lei Qianzhong didn't hesitate to attack. His fist was like rolling heavenly lightning as it blasted forward. On the other side, Yuan Mo also attacked. He pulled out a dark green short saber and slashed forward. It was like a rainbow in autumn, cutting off the sky and earth. Boom. The battle between 2/3 heavenly layer geniuses was extremely powerful. The power blasted open. Countless great path laws permeated the space, forming a state of chaos. No one dared to approach. Everyone frantically retreated. A top genius. The experts of the older generation sucked in a breath of cold air after seeing this. The strength of these two clearly surpassed the experts of the stellar realm. As expected of the second astral realm's geniuses. What a good opportunity. A joyful voice sounded. Immediately after, a sword light streaked across the sky, bypassing the chaotic great Tao of the heavens and earth. It flew out from another direction, and flew forward rapidly. Who was it? It was the little sword saint. He was also a top genius. Someone recognized him. He was a genius from their first astral realm. He had comprehended the Tao of sword, and was very strong. He was called the little sword saint. Damn it, we can't let them get there first. Let's go too. The surrounding people's expressions all changed. They attacked one after another. Each of them turned into a stream of light and flew forward. For a moment, the scene was very chaotic. But soon, those people screamed and flew out. Some of them were ablaze. They were abnormally ferocious and were trying their best to put out the fire. Some were miserable. Half of their bodies were burned. They rolled in the sky. Most of the people retreated, their faces full of fear. Their bodies were injured. In short, they were in an incomparably sorry state. The flames were too terrifying. We couldn't get close at all. A first heavenly layer sage had an extremely ugly expression. Sages were considered existences that transcended the heavens and earth. They were usually supreme overlords, but now they couldn't stop the flames. Chapter 35-27. How could this be? Why were their faces so ugly? The little sword saint also felt the monstrous fire. The sword chi on his body was unparalleled, forming a sword domain to defend himself. However, he couldn't get close and could only move forward slowly. Seeing this scene, everyone gasped. Even the little sword saint was in such a state. It seemed that the fire in front was too terrifying. Boom, boom, boom. A dragon's roar resounded between heaven and earth. The third heaven saint of the Dragon Valley rushed forward with a saint weapon in his hand. He looked at the flickering fire in front of him and was shocked. It was the cosmic starry sky fire. What? Cosmic starry sky fire? Was it the legendary divine fire? Many people were stunned. This kind of fire was extremely attractive to saints. Even a small saint couldn't stay calm. Sure enough, the eyes of the people around immediately turned red after hearing the news. They gritted their teeth. Damn it! We must find a way to get to the front. We must get this fire. The 9th Nether clan's eldest young master and 3rd young master were also ecstatic. They took out many weapons and filled the sky. The others also made their preparations. This thing is mine, none of you have the right to get it. At this moment Lei Qianzhong roared. The lightning on his body surged in all directions and formed 8 lightning dragons. Many people who were close to him were pierced. Heavens, it's too terrifying. However, Yuan Mo didn't care about such terrifying lightning. He kept waving the broken black sword in his hand as if it could destroy everything. The 8 lightning dragons were trembling from the beating. The 2 fought while moving forward. Obviously, the 2 of them wouldn't give up. On the other side, the little sword saint also roared and pushed his way of the sword to the extreme. The other saints of the older generation all made their moves. Although Lei Qianzhong wanted this thing, and they were all subordinates of Lei Qianzhong, they were all enraged now. If they could get this thing, the benefits would definitely be huge. So even with Lei Qianzhong's threat, they couldn't care less. The stronger ones were preparing to resist the terrifying cosmic starry sky fire. But at this moment, they noticed a figure rushing towards them from behind. That speed was so fast that it shocked them. Heavens, who is this? Is it another expert of the older generation? No, it was that person. Someone screamed. It was the person who had provoked them before. They saw Lin Xian's figure. The people from the Vermilion Bird Palace and the 8-Wind Palace sneered. They didn't know what was good for them. If the other party charged forward like this, he would definitely be burned to ashes by the raging flames. The flames ahead were too terrifying. Lin Xian rushed over and frowned as he felt the terrifying heat wave around him. He released a cold snort. His body erupted with endless radiance, supporting a world as he quickly advanced. He actually blocked it. He actually didn't die. This was simply too inconceivable. The people at the back were all stunned. How did the other party survive such terrifying flames? What kind of treasure did he have? Could it be that the physique of that person was so strong that it could withstand the universal starry sky flame? Impossible. Even a saint of the 3rd heaven would find it difficult to resist, unless he had an extremely terrifying physique. However, we can recognize that kind of physique at a glance. He definitely isn't that kind of person. The experts from the Vermilion Bird Palace and the 8-Wind Palace shook their heads frantically. They were all crazy. The other party didn't have a peerless physique. Then how did he reach the front? The 1st and 3rd young masters' faces were pale. They threw out countless weapons, but they were still burned and screamed crazily. However, at this moment, a figure flew past them, causing their hairs to stand on end. Who was that? How could he be so strong? The little sword saint was also stunned. Even Lei Qianzhong and Yuan Mo were startled. They all looked over. There was actually another expert. Yuan Mo was shocked. Lei Qianzhong's eyes were brimming with killing intent. Damn it, I already said that it's all mine. Go to hell. With a wave of his hand, 10,000 bolts of thunder struck forward. Wang. Lin Xian sneered as he waved his arm. His opponent's lightning energy was sent flying by his stellar transposition toward the flames in front of him. Immediately, a crack was torn open, causing his speed to become even faster. How is this possible? Lei Qianzhong couldn't believe it when he saw that the other party's speed had increased. The others were also stunned. Who was this person? Wasn't he too strong? No, they had to use their full strength. They couldn't let that person get the upper hand. They gritted their teeth and began to use their trump cards. Lin Xian took the lead. The flames here were too terrifying. Even his 9-yang divine physique was trembling from the heat. However, he didn't use his sword qi to extinguish the flames. Instead, he used the stellar transposition to redirect the flames. This greatly reduced the pressure on him. Otherwise, a third heavenly layer sage would have a hard time advancing. Even if they had a saint artifact, it wouldn't be easy. Lei Qianzhong and Yuan Mo also charged into the flame mountain. Their battle shook the heavens and the earth. Countless flames trembled and large cracks appeared. Some people took the opportunity to enter through the cracks. Great, we're close to the cosmic starry fire. Put away the flames. Several people stretched out their big palms, covering the sky and covering the earth as they tried to grab those starry sky flames. Not good. How dare you? Let go. The eyes of some people at the back instantly turned red as they roared crazily. The people of Vermilion Bird Palace were also anxious. Elder, quickly think of a way. We can't fall behind. The young disciples were extremely anxious. However, the elder of Vermilion Bird Palace sneered. Don't worry, you're all fire elemental sages. Can't you sense the power of the cosmic starry fire? Do those people think they can use the cracks to get close and subdue it? How naive. Just wait and see, they'll definitely die. Whoosh. In the flame mountain, the illusions of stardust rotated and a terrifying heat wave swept through the world again. Several sages who reached out with their huge hands instantly wailed in pain as their palms were instantly pierced. Not only that, the flames also followed their arms and wrapped around their bodies. Their entire bodies were ignited. These people quickly retreated, and even surged with endless power in an attempt to extinguish the flames. However, in the blink of an eye, they were burned to ashes. Dead. Those who wanted to enter the cracks stopped in their tracks, their faces filled with fear. Such terrifying sages were burned to death in an instant. The power of the flames was beyond their imagination. Damn it, without some extraordinary means they wouldn't be able to get close. Chapter 35-28. The Great Prince took out a red gourd and started absorbing the flames. The third prince took out a jade bottle. These were 2 half-step sage tools. However, as soon as the flames were absorbed, the 2 half-step sage tools exploded. The third prince and the great prince were shocked and quickly retreated. The armor on their bodies was burnt to the point of cracking, scaring them so much that they didn't dare to do anything else. They fled as if they had gone mad. The others saw this and their scalps went numb. Those were the 2 young masters of the 9 Netherworld clan. The weapons in their hands were extremely powerful. Even so, they couldn't absorb any of the flames. Apart from a true sage tool, nothing else could absorb the flames. It was indeed powerful. Lin Xian saw this and his eyes flickered. He increased his speed and rushed forward. He was courting death. Lei Qianzhong also saw him. This time he didn't stop him. So what if he rushed to the front? He didn't believe that he could subdue the flames. Lin Xian gradually moved forward and came close to the mountains of flames. He looked at the flames of the stars, and his eyes flashed with a shocking light. He flipped his hand and took out a black spiritual boat. The boat was extremely exquisite, and it floated above his hand. It was really a modified black earth. Next, it's up to you. He waved his hand, and the black earth shot forward. Immediately, the black earth floated up and the flames in the sky descended and enveloped the black earth. Lin Xian's heart was also in his mouth. The heaven and earth Tao patterns on the black earth flickered and began to refine. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that the black earth wasn't destroyed immediately. It seemed that the refining process had begun. With the cosmos starfire, the time needed to evolve would be greatly reduced. He used stellar transposition while waiting patiently. He didn't dare to be too far away. If the weapons were stolen, it would be a great loss. Therefore, he could only stay nearby and guard. After such a long time, that kid should have turned to ashes. The people from Vermilion Bird Palace sneered. The people from Dragon Valley were also gnashing their teeth. However, the people from Ba Huang Hall started screaming. No, he was still there. One of the elders held the Ba Huang mirror, and when he opened it, it illuminated the area in front of him. Amidst the flames, a figure stood there. It was that guy. He actually didn't die. These people were all crazy. How did the other party do it? Because no one could walk into those flames. That brat wouldn't absorb more fire seeds, right? As soon as these words were spoken, those experts sucked in a breath of cold air, instantly losing their calm. With a roar, 10,000 lightning bolts struck out. After repelling the opponent's broken blade, he quickly charged over. Die, brat. In the sky, the claw of a thunder beast appeared. It was abnormally malevolent and horrifying, as if it had reached out from the primordial era. In an instant, it shattered the void. The flames in front of him continued to surge. In an instant, he arrived in front of Lin Xian. Lin Xian's face darkened when he felt the terrifying thunder claw. Unparalleled light burst out from his eyes, and the aura on his body continued to rise. At this moment, the entire world shook. Get lost! With a furious roar, the heavens fell and the earth cracked. Lin Xian made his move. The golden palm was like a mountain range. It rushed out and collided with the claw of thunder. Boom! The area in front of him was completely blown apart, forming a huge black hole. And this force also sent the flames flying. Those who were close to the flames were all set ablaze by the flames. Retreat quickly. Those who were weak did not dare to come closer. Their faces were filled with fear. The two of them were actually fighting in the depths of the sea of flames. After one strike, the two palms were both pushed back. Lin Xian sneered. Lei Qianzhong's face was extremely ugly. The other party was actually able to contend with him. It was too unbelievable. One had to know that he was no longer suppressed by the seal. He could use all of his strength. How terrifying was a third sky supremacy. Compared to before, his strength had increased countless times. Killing the other party was as easy as flipping his hand. But now this move shook his heart. The other party's strength was also stronger than before. Could it be that the other party had not shown his strength? How could it be? Was the other party also a third sky supremacy? After carefully sensing, he almost fainted. First sky. The other party was only a first sky supremacy. Then how did the other party block his attack? This was impossible. Lei Qianzhong threw another thunderous fist at Qin Lai. This fist was really too terrifying. Lin Xian also roared and fiercely clashed with the other party. The sky fell and the earth cracked. The two fists were like two meteorites, constantly colliding. He blocked it. He actually blocked it. Lei Qianzhong was about to go crazy. What was the other party's physique? Wasn't it too terrifying? He had never heard of a physique that was comparable to that of a saint of the third heaven. Could it be one of those legendary physiques? Who the hell are you? Terrifying thunder appeared in his eyes. A thunder god's eye appeared on top of his head as if it wanted to see everything clearly. So what if you're a genius from the second astral realm? I thought you had some ability. Lin Xian grinned. You're courting death. Lei Qianzhong roared. Lightning surrounded his body, and every part of the starry sky trembled. At this moment, the destructive power was too terrifying. A berserk aura surged from his palm. It directly pushed back Lin Xian's fist. Thunderclap ninth heaven. As he waved his hands, it was as if he had created a starry sky. The terrifying thunder could destroy everything. At this moment, even a saint of the same level wouldn't dare to take it head-on. The surrounding sages felt their scalps go numb when they sensed the apocalyptic lightning. Lin Xian was instantly enveloped by the thunder. The terrifying flames in addition to the terrifying thunder caused his body to suffer a violent impact. Even his 9-yang divine body couldn't withstand it. As expected, many cracks appeared on his body. The blood in his body roared. So powerful. As expected of someone from the second astral realm. Lin Xian was shocked. But in the next moment he roared. Endless sword energy quickly rushed out from his body. It was as if they were giant dragons that were looking up at the sky. A golden sword energy with unparalleled sharpness slashed out. His right hand turned into a flame qilin and quickly rushed out. The sound of a violent collision rang out, and a violent power erupted. The laws on Lin Xian's body surged out and rapidly healed his wounds. In an instant he opened up the entire sea of lightning. Kill. Accompanied by a violent dragon roar, his fist punched out again. His fist seemed to have turned into a furnace. It burned fiercely and actually mobilized the starry sky around him. It smashed into Lei Qianzhong's body and sent him flying. Lei Qianzhong spat out a mouthful of blood. Many cracks appeared on his body. Some parts were even burned. Ah! He was flustered and exasperated. He roared crazily. The surrounding people went crazy. Heavens! What did they just see? Chapter 35-29. The eldest and third young masters of the 9 Netherbird clan trembled, as if they had seen a ghost. The saints of the Vermilion Bird Palace and the 8 Desolation Hall were also terrified. No one wasn't afraid of Lei Qianzhong. He was a godlike young man in their eyes, but now he was sent flying. To be able to send Lei Qianzhong flying, interesting. You should try my blade too. Another voice sounded between heaven and earth. Everyone saw the man in the black cloak rushing over with the short blade in his hand. An ink-colored blade descended from the sky like a water qilin, roaring in all directions. The power of this blade was too terrifying. It wasn't any weaker than Lei Qianzhong's lightning. Was it another third heaven sage? Lin Xian's eyes shone with a cold light. He could naturally feel the power of this blade. His opponent's blade contained the terrifying law of water. And it wasn't an ordinary law of water. He didn't dare to be careless and attacked with all his might. The 9-yang divine body and great dragon sword spirit erupted together, releasing a shocking sword qi. The sword qi rushed out and turned into a phoenix. It fluttered in the air, covering the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The water qilin and fire phoenix clashed in the sky, destroying the 9 heavens. Countless cracks appeared all over the sky. In the end, the 2 divine abilities disappeared from the world. Lin Xian withdrew his hand with a solemn expression. On the other side, Yuan Mo laughed. You're really strong. I wonder if you're over 1,000 years old. If you're not, then I'll be surprised. I didn't expect the first astral realm to have someone as strong as you. Over 1,000 years old? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He didn't answer, but the answer was no. He was only a little over 100 years old. If Yuan Mo found out about this, he wondered what Yuan Mo would think. Luai's divine claw. At this moment Lei Qianzhong attacked again. His claw was surrounded by the law of lightning. The claw could destroy the sky. Lin Xian turned into a kuanpeng and dodged quickly. At the same time he punched out again. However, he didn't attack Lei Qianzhong but in another direction. There a figure was pushed back. His face was pale and filled with shock. Little Sword Saint. Many people cried out in surprise. They didn't expect that the Little Sword Saint would also charge over. Fence. Lei Qianzhong glanced at the Little Sword Saint and ignored him because he was also a first heaven saint. Yuan Mo was shocked. You must have a terrifying weapon in your hand to be able to kill me at the first level of heaven. That's right, the Little Sword Saint also had a shield in his hand. It was filled with cracks, and he had relied on that shield to reach this place. I don't care about your grudges, but none of you are allowed to enter this area. As Lin Xian spoke, he waved his hand and a few rays of sword qi flew out, enveloping the sea of flames. This was his territory, and he was refining the black earth inside. He would not allow anyone to enter. The Little Sword Saint's face turned ugly while Lei Qianzhong was enraged. Damn it, you dare to control me? Yuan Mo retracted his smile. Although I admire you, no one can stop me. Is that so? Just because there wasn't one in the past didn't mean there wouldn't be one in the future. I said, no one is allowed to enter this area. Lin Xian's face also darkened. but his eyes were filled with determination. The surrounding people went crazy. They couldn't imagine who the man in front of them was. They were facing 2/3 heavenly layer sages. Moreover, they were geniuses from the 2nd heavenly layer. Any one of them could make Vermilion Bird Palace and 8 Desolate Palace bow their heads. But now, there was someone who could fight against 2 such peerless geniuses at the same time. It was unbelievable. Go to hell. Lei Qianzhong roared and quickly attacked. On the other side, Yuan Mo said coldly, "Let's see what kind of strength you have to block my path." He also attacked. The 2/3 heaven saints attacked. Lin Xian instantly felt a great pressure. However, he wouldn't take a single step back. He used his body and sword soul to resist the opponent, and at the same time, he used stellar transposition to disrupt the power of this space. The power of the starry sky flame was mobilized by him. Not only that, he was also using the power of these 2 people. The battle erupted, and it was extremely chaotic. The little sword saint used all his strength to activate the black gold shield in his hand. He couldn't attack at all, and could only protect himself. The people in the distance couldn't do the same. Between heaven and earth, terrifying scenes filled the sky. Thunderlock appeared, carrying with it a terrifying Thunder Dao aura that covered the sky. On the other side, an ink-colored Qilin appeared, roaring in all directions. These were 2 peerless geniuses, and the power they used was truly terrifying. Lin Xian shuttled back and forth between the 2 mystic skills. While it looked simple, it was actually way too dangerous. Every attack caused his blood to boil. Even if the energy gently brushed past him, it would still cause many cracks to appear on his body. He reached out with both hands, and there was a mysterious power circulating around them. This was stellar transposition, and it was thrown out by him. The 2 behemoths were originally charging towards him together, but at this moment, they were fighting each other. The violent power caused Lei Qianzhong and Yuan Mo to tremble. "Damn it, you dare to attack me? Humph, don't attack me anymore." Lei Qianzhong and Yuan Mo's eyes shone with a cold light. The 3 of them kept attacking, and it became a chaotic battle. Everyone was an enemy. Yuan Mo blocked Lei Qianzhong's attack, and at the same time he swung his saber at Lin Xian. Lin Xian turned into an ocean, and a huge whirlpool wrapped around his opponent's water Qilin. At the same time, he smashed out with one hand, and it turned into a golden heavenly steel. It carried a terrifying aura as it pressed down on Lei Qianzhong. The 3's attacks were extremely terrifying. They seemed to be evenly matched, and no one could do anything to the other. In the end, cracks appeared on their bodies, and some of them were even shocking. Lei Qianzhong roared, "Yuan Mo, let's put aside our grudges and work together to kill this kid. When we enter the depths of the Sea of Fire and fight for the Fire Seed, we'll decide who's better." "All right." Yuan Mo nodded, and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. What was the meaning of this? The 2/3 heavenly layer geniuses were going to work together? That person was definitely dead. No one could stop the joint attack of 2 peerless geniuses. At this moment, the people from Vermilion Bird Palace and Octagon Palace revealed sinister smiles. The little sword saint's face turned pale. Although he had the black gold shield, he decisively retreated at this moment. Lei Qianzhong and Yuan Mo didn't attack each other again, and they both stared at Lin Xian. This time, Yuan Mo held his saber with one hand, and his other hand formed a terrifying seal. Chapter 35-30. Not good. Sage Mubai, Meng Meng and the others became nervous. Could Lin Xian stop the 2 of them? They even wanted to help him. However, before they could do anything, Lin Xian made his move. Facing the 2's shocking attacks, he directly made his move. The great dragon sword soul in his body kept roaring as he pushed the stellar transposition to the extreme. The stellar transposition was a mysterious divine ability that the Sage King had taught him. Coupled with the boost from the great dragon sword soul's combat prowess, at this moment, its might was truly at its peak. The starry sky fire on both sides were activated. They turned into 2 starry sky fire dragons, roaring as they rushed out. The surrounding sea of fire was even more turbulent. The monstrous fire wolves rolled forward. Boom, boom, It was like the end of the world. The starry sky fire was too terrifying. Even a minor saint would not dare to face it head-on. They could only defend themselves. Now that so many starry sky fire were activated, they rushed forward together. The opponent's attack was instantly engulfed. Not only that, the two of them were also sent flying by the terrifying flames. They vomited blood, and their bodies were charred black. What? They were pushed back? The people in the distance were still preparing to attack. In their opinion, the opponent would definitely die if the two great sky prides attacked. After the opponent died, they might be able to take advantage of the situation. However, the next scene left them dumbfounded. That person didn't die, but Lei Qianzhong and Yuan Mo were sent flying and coughed up mouthfuls of blood. How could it be? How could the opponent block the attack of two-third heavenly layer saints? Damn it! The starry sky fire. He actually used the starry sky fire. Countless saints were dumbfounded. They clearly saw that the starry sky fire had turned into two fire dragons, circling in the sky. How could he use the starry sky fire? Even a minor saint could not do this, right? What made them even more terrified was that the opponent was still at the first heavenly layer. It was driving them crazy. Impossible. Lei Qianzhong roared crazily. Yuan Mo was also dumbfounded. He could not believe that the person in front of him was so mysterious. Lin Xian's face was also somewhat pale. That attack just now had been extremely dangerous. If he had not been able to block it, he would definitely have been blasted into a bloody mist. Fortunately, the power of stellar transposition was boundless. In addition, De Long's marriage could increase his battle prowess, so he was able to block this attack. His soul shot out and swept behind him. At this moment, the Black Earth had reached its most critical moment. It had to be said that these starry sky flames were too powerful, and the quantity was beyond imagination. Even the living fossils of the Nine Nether clan could not have imagined this. He would not give up such a good opportunity. Lei Qianzhong looked forward with an extremely ugly expression. Since his opponent could use the starry sky flame, he wouldn't be able to do anything to him even if the battle continued. However, it was impossible for the other party to monopolize the starry sky flame. He looked behind him and roared crazily. Are you guys just going to watch and not do anything? Didn't you bring a sacred artifact? And the Netherworld tribe, this is your territory. Hurry up and get a little saint here and kill him for me. As soon as his words came out, the crowd behind him became restless. The third heavenly saint of the Dragon Valley walked out again, the divine artifact in his hand glowing brightly. A terrifying aura spread out, causing everyone's scalp to go numb. Not good. Meng Meng and the others' faces changed. Even Lin Xian frowned. At this critical moment, Mu Bai made his move and stopped the other party. There were still a few experts who wanted to come out, but they were stopped by Meng Meng. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. The others were extremely anxious, but they were powerless. Lin Xian was in a place where the flames were so terrifying. Even if they wanted to help, they had to consider their own strength. Otherwise, if they were to attack rashly, they would probably be burned to ashes before they even reached their destination. Boom. Just when everyone was extremely anxious, the sky suddenly shattered. Countless people were pressed to the ground, trembling. The people of the Nine Nether clan were overjoyed. The experts of the Nine Nether clan had come, and from the looks of it, they had brought a sacred artifact. This wasn't an ordinary sacred artifact. The moment it appeared, the aura it brought was no weaker than a minor saint. In other words, this was definitely the power of a minor saint. This is great. Kill him. Lei Qianzhong shone brightly. Kill him and help me get the cosmic flame seed. I guarantee that your Nine Nether clan will definitely benefit greatly. Boom. In the sky, the Nine Nether clan's saint waved a purple flag. He had the combat strength of a minor saint. He quickly charged towards Lin Xian. Not good. Lin Xian felt his body go numb. The aura was too terrifying. It was even more terrifying than the chain attack of Lei Qianzhong and Meng Meng. After all, a minor saint was too terrifying. It was far beyond the strength of an ordinary saint. Not good. Mu Bai, Meng Meng and the others exclaimed. They didn't expect the other party to have such an expert. Moreover, this sacred artifact was too terrifying. Kid, let's see how you're going to die. Lei Qianzhong sneered. There was only one ending for anyone who dared to block his path, and that was death. The big purple flag swept over. With an aura that could destroy everything, it descended towards Lin Xian. As soon as the aura appeared, Lin Xian felt that his body was about to split apart. This energy was too strong. He roared as his body shone brightly. He used stellar transposition to disperse the energy to the sides and used the cosmic flame seed to block the attack. However, he still spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it! He roared in a low voice. He turned into the Kuimping first class and quickly dodged. Black Mountain. Boom. 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 As soon as his voice fell, a black shadow rushed out from his body. Then, boundless black demonic chi spread out in all directions. At this moment, everyone felt their bodies go cold as if they had fallen into a 10,000-year-old ice cave. This aura was really too terrifying. Lei Qianzhong's expression instantly changed. The two of them were shocked. How could someone of this level appear? They quickly retreated as if they were facing a great enemy. The expert from the Nine Nether tribe also gripped the purple flag tightly, as if he was facing a great enemy. The sacred artifact shone brightly and covered him. A fifth heavenly layer saint with a sacred artifact. He was comparable to a minor saint. But so what? Even if a true minor saint came, I wouldn't put him in my eyes. The black shadow's cold voice sounded, carrying with it an unparalleled domineering aura. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. Who was this person? Was he also a minor saint? Or was he a saint sovereign that was even more terrifying than a minor saint? They didn't know, but the opponent's aura was too terrifying. It suppressed the Nine Nether clan's experts. Mu Bai and Ming Ming were stunned. The opponent was obviously here to help Lin Xian. Who was this person? Why was there such a terrifying person beside Lin Xian? Chapter 35-31. To be honest, the fifth heavenly layer saint of the Nine Netherbird clan was also stunned. This time, he brought a saint tool with him. He was confident that he could even fight against a true minor saint. But now, he did not dare to make a move because he felt that the opponent's aura was even more terrifying than a minor saint. Who is he? Cold sweat dripped down from his forehead. A saint venerable could destroy the Nine Netherbird clan. Therefore, he did not dare to make a move. The others were also stunned. The opponent's aura was too terrifying. Even Lei Qianzhong and Yuan Mo felt like they were facing a great enemy. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed like the Black Mountain's aura was still effective. At this moment, he received a message from the other party. Kid, don't just stand there. I'm just releasing my aura. If we really fight, I won't be able to defeat that guy. Quickly think of a way to absorb some of the flames. And then we'll leave. Lin Xian nodded and acted quickly. It was impossible for the Black Earth to continue tempering here. However, he would not let go of this opportunity. Since he couldn't stay here, he would take the flames away. This kind of flame was very dangerous. He had seen many people trying to absorb it, but none of them succeeded. Therefore, Lin Xian did not dare to be careless. He directly used the Great Sage Pagoda. With the power of the Great Sage Pagoda, no matter how strong the flames were, they wouldn't be able to escape. After taking out the Great Sage Pagoda, he crazily absorbed the surrounding starry sky flames. The kid was absorbing the flames. Although the people in the distance did not dare to make a move, they could clearly see the scene. At first, they did not believe it. Until now, no one had succeeded in absorbing the flames. In their opinion, the opponent should not be able to do it. But soon, they realized that the pagoda in the opponent's hand was rapidly absorbing the flames. It was not damaged at all. How could this be? The flames were actually taken away by the opponent. Damn it. Lei Qianzhong's face became incomparably ferocious. The people of Vermilion Bird Palace also had ugly expressions. At this moment, everyone's heart was bleeding. They wanted to rush over and cut the opponent into pieces. However, with the existence of the demon-like figure, no one dared to act rashly. Just when he was feeling extremely anxious, another powerful chi descended from the sky. A real minor saint had arrived. Edited by Lifer, Fingerfox. He was also an elder from the Nine Netherworlds tribe, a little saint. Roaring, he charged forward with murderous intent. Not good. Lin Xian's expression changed. Heishan also spoke and prepared to leave. As he spoke, he let out an angry roar and the array formation that he had secretly set up exploded. Countless flames and attacks covered the sky as they collided with the other party. Immediately after, the violent energy became chaotic. The entire space was filled with violent flows of energy. The starry sky fire was completely stimulated and filled every corner of the void. Not good. Retreat quickly. For a moment, the crowd was in a panic. Countless people were frantically fleeing. The little saint wanted to attack again, but Pan could no longer find the little saint, who was surrounded by layers upon layers of flaming mountains. In the end, the monstrous flames were simply too terrifying. Even with saint artifacts in their hands, they didn't dare to stay inside. They could only retreat. Lei Qianzhong roared in anger. They couldn't stay in such a terrifying flame, so they must have escaped. Quickly seal the entire golden fire plane, seal the entire alchemy valley. Don't let anyone out. We must capture them. Vermilion Bird Palace, 8 Desolate Palace, and even the 9 Netherworlds tribe were moving with all their might, quickly sealing the entire alchemy valley. They would never let them escape. The alchemy valley was also in a state of panic. They had also heard the news from the underground and were extremely shocked. They didn't expect that there was another world under their ground. Moreover, there was a terrifying starry sky fire inside. However, no one dared to enter without permission because the starry sky fire was completely chaotic. Even the little saints didn't dare to stay inside. At the same time, they also discovered that the entire alchemy valley was sealed. It seemed like they were searching for something. All kinds of news were spreading. It was rumored that a mysterious expert had fought against Lei Qianzhong and Yuan Mo at the same time, attracting the attention of countless people. However, that mysterious expert had disappeared. Some people guessed that he had been burned to ashes by the flames below. However, Lei Qianzhong and the others still believed that the mysterious expert should be able to escape with his means. The mysterious expert was now hiding somewhere, preparing to leave quietly. They wouldn't let the mysterious expert get away. In the underground world, the starry sky fire was still extremely violent. No one would have thought that there would be 2 figures in such a terrifying place. Naturally, they were Heishan and Lin Xian. Previously, Heishan had completely activated the flames below, causing the starry sky fire to surge wildly. Even the little saints were forced to leave. However, Lin Xian stayed. He used the Great Sage to protect himself. That was why he could stay here. This place was temporarily very safe. Therefore, Lin Xian let Heishan look after the Black Earth while he prepared to cultivate. The fire elemental energy in this place was really too strong. He cultivated the 5 elemental law, which originally had the power of the fire law. So, how could he give up this good opportunity? Just like that, Lin Xian began to cultivate underground. Time flowed by. On this day, Lin Xian opened his eyes. A huge roar came from his body, and a terrifying saint aura spread between heaven and earth. All kinds of laws and great Daos also rushed out and surrounded him. He had broken through. Late stage first sky saint. Lin Xian was wild with joy. Heishan also sucked in a breath of cold air. This kind of breakthrough speed was too fast. This was the saint realm. How many people found it difficult to break through a small realm in a few hundred years? Some even needed 1 or 2,000 years to do so. But now the other party had reached the late stage first sky saint in such a short time. It was really amazing. This was definitely an existence as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. Of course, he also knew that there were 2 reasons for this. First, there were very few people like Lin Xian, who could fight continuously. One had to know that Lin Xian had fought against 2/3 sky saints. This kind of experience was absolutely rare. Second, the starry sky fire was really too powerful. The law it contained was probably something that even little saints would be jealous of. Therefore, the combination of the 2 allowed Lin Xian to break through again. Feeling his own power, Lin Xian smiled with satisfaction. If he met Lei Qianzhong again, he was sure to beat him until he was looking for his teeth on the ground. How was the Black Earth? He turned his head around. The current progress was good, but it would still take some time to become a true saint artifact. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded and continued to use the Great Sage Pagoda to absorb the surrounding flames. Then he put the black earth into the Great Sage Pagoda and prepared to leave. He Shan entered his crescent moon pendant. Chapter 35-32. The underground world was extremely terrifying. When the energy was chaotic, Lin Xian had already sent a message to Mubai and Meng Huan, so the two of them had already left. They should be outside now. He didn't plan to find them in a hurry, so he decided to investigate the situation first. Lin Xian changed his appearance again. He realized that there were more people in the Golden Fire Plains. So these people came because they heard about the legend of the Starry Skyfire. They wanted to see if there was a chance to get some benefits. He also realized that the Golden Fire Plains and even the Alchemy Valley had been sealed off. He couldn't get out for a while. It seemed like these people didn't give up. The Golden Fire Pavilion was a place similar to the Nine Dragon Mountain. It was a place for saints and experts to entertain. At this moment, there were indeed many people loitering around the Golden Fire Pavilion. They were dissatisfied. A man standing at the door said coldly, "Go back. This place has been booked by our young master." "What, you want to defy young Master Lei's orders?" Young Master Lei. Naturally, it was Lei Qianzhong. So no one dared to defy him. This guy was still so arrogant. Lin Xian sneered at the scene. "I heard that your young Master Lei was defeated by a level 1 celestial stage in the underground world. I wonder if it's true?" The moment these words came out, everyone was stunned. What, young Master Lei was defeated by a level 1 celestial stage? No way, this must be fake. No, it seems to be true. Many people are spreading this rumor. This young Master Lei is actually so weak? This kind of trash dares to tell us to scram? Many people were instantly enraged. They thought that Lei Qianzhong's strength was unparalleled, so they didn't dare to provoke him. But now, it seemed like that wasn't the case. The man in blue at the door was instantly enraged. "Kid, do you want to die? Who told you that? Do you still want to tell me? The whole world is saying that your young master's strength is nothing. So don't be arrogant in front of me. You." The man in blue armor was furious. He wanted to say something, but a hand landed on his shoulder. In the next moment, a figure walked out from inside. Instantly, the sky was filled with lightning. Everyone retreated in fright, not daring to speak. Only Lin Xian was left behind. He looked at the people in front of him, and the smile in his eyes deepened. "Io, the legendary Mr. Lei has appeared. I heard that you were defeated by a saint of the first celestial layer. Why don't you tell me what happened?" The surrounding people were going crazy. It was fine if the other party had just said it, but now he dared to repeat it in front of young Master Lei. Was he courting death? "Kid, kneel down and it'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, it'll make you wish you were dead." Lei Qianzhong's voice was incomparably cold. At the same time, a few more voices rang out from the Golden Flame Pavilion. "What are you looking at? The Golden Flame Pavilion has been booked by us today. Saints below the third heaven stage aren't qualified to enter." This voice was merciless. When the surrounding people heard it, their scalps were about to split open. Saints below the third heaven were not qualified. Fuck, who is this? What a big mouth. Saints of the third heaven were extremely rare. How many could there be? Could it be that the other party was having an important meeting? A saint below the third heaven? Sure enough, he was really domineering. But why didn't he scram? Lin Xian pointed at the man in blue. The man in blue wasn't a third heaven cultivator, but a second heaven cultivator. The others also looked over. That's right, why could a second heaven cultivator be here? Lei Qianzhong coldly snorted. He's our companion, so of course he can stay here. If your companion isn't strong enough, then he can stay here. If the others aren't strong enough, they have to scram? Who was the one who set this rule? It was Bullsh *T. Lin Xian sneered. The others were also dissatisfied. Isn't this too domineering? How dare you question us? Do you want to die? Young Master Tang's eyes were cold. This is the rule I made. Whoever doesn't agree, come and die. His gaze swept over, carrying a destructive aura. The surrounding people lowered their heads. Who would dare to go against Lei Qianzhong? Wasn't that just courting death? What's there to be arrogant about? You can't even beat a first heaven cultivator, and you have the nerve to be arrogant in front of me. I advise you to kneel down now and kowtow to me 10 times. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'll end up in a miserable state. Hearing this, the surrounding people's scalps went numb. No matter how bad the rumors about Lei Qianzhong were, the opponent was still a third heaven cultivator. How weak could a third heaven cultivator be? If he wanted to kill them, he only needed to lift a finger. Who is this guy? How dare he be so arrogant? Does he have some kind of trump card? Maybe he's also a third heaven cultivator. That's right, because of the starry sky flame, many experts have been attracted recently. Maybe he's one of them. Because Lin Xian's face was unfamiliar, they didn't recognize him at all. They were all guessing. However, when someone probed Lin Xian's cultivation, he fell to the ground with a thud. His legs turned to jelly. Holy shit, a first heaven cultivator. How is this possible? The others didn't believe it and probed further. They were also dumbfounded. He really is a first heaven cultivator. Damn it! A first heaven cultivator dares to challenge Lei Qianzhong? Is this kid's brain flooded with water? He must have heard too many rumors. Rumor has it that a mid-stage first heaven cultivator and Lei Qianzhong were evenly matched. That's why he thought that a late-stage first heaven cultivator could contend against Lei Qianzhong. How is this possible? These people shook their heads. Although the rumors might be true, that mid-stage first heaven cultivator definitely had some kind of super weapon. It was very likely that it was a sacred weapon that could contend against Lei Qianzhong. Otherwise, they wouldn't believe it even if they were beaten to death. Therefore, when they saw a first heaven cultivator provoking them again, they felt that it was too surreal. "Ant, do you want to die?" Lei Qianzhong roared crazily, lightning surging from his body. Indeed, he had previously fought to a standstill with a first celestial layer cultivator. This made him feel great shame. But that didn't mean that anyone could provoke him. Now that his opponent was a first heaven cultivator, he was filled with killing intent. But at this moment, a few more figures walked out of the Golden Fire Pavilion and came to Lei Qianzhong's side. "Brother Lei, let us do it this time." "Yeah, you just came back from the underground world and probably haven't rested well. Let us do it," these people said. They didn't dare to let Lei Qianzhong take the risk. "All right, then I'll have to trouble you." Lei Qianzhong nodded. He didn't make a move because it was very strange recently. The first heaven cultivators he met here were all very powerful. If he were to fight them to a standstill, it would be very funny. Chapter 35-33. TSK, after all that talk, you don't even have the guts to accept the challenge. You want someone else to fight for you? What a coward. How can someone like you be called a genius from the second astral realm? The surrounding people were in an uproar. What's going on? Lei Qianzhong really doesn't dare to accept the challenge? What nonsense. What do you mean he doesn't dare to accept the challenge? Brother Lei just doesn't want to fight with you. That's right, Brother Lei just came up from the underground world. His body hasn't adjusted yet, so it's not convenient for him to fight. I'll fight you. It's not too late to be arrogant if you promise me. A figure walked out of the cave. This person's aura was also very strong. He was actually a third heaven sage. Once the aura was released, the crowd was in an uproar. An expert. This was definitely an expert. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Another third celestial layer saint? And from the looks of it, he was very familiar with Lei Qianzhong. Lin Xian guessed that he wasn't from the first celestial layer. He should be a genius from the second celestial layer. There were actually so many people from the second astral realm. I have to say, you're really stupid. You actually want to take the thunder for Lei Qianzhong? Since that's the case, don't blame me for being rude. Lin Xian stepped out, and his aura exploded. Late stage first heaven. So weak. That person sneered. The youth had long white hair and wore a purple Taoist robe. He looked mighty and had a hint of evil. The white-haired man said, "Should I let you have 3 moves? Or should I let you use 1 hand?" In his opinion, Lin Xian was just an arrogant guy. However, his true strength should be like an ant. He was a third heaven sage. He could probably kill a first heaven sage with one slap. Let me have 3 moves? You're so generous. Thank you. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a cold light. In the next moment, a terrifying aura rushed out from his body. That energy covered the sky and earth, and it caused the world to tremble. Boom. The energy formed a huge figure in the sky. It was like a giant dragon. Its black eyes looked down, causing everyone's heart to beat faster. It was as if their souls were about to be devoured. Boom. This illusion formed by the Tao of heaven and earth rushed down with an unparalleled aura. It destroyed everything in front of it. What? The white-haired man's pupils shrank. He didn't expect the other party to be so strong. Due to his carelessness, he could only block in a panic. A fierce gust of wind rose from his body, forming a huge wind shield between heaven and earth. Boom. That gigantic dragon phantom ruthlessly smashed onto the wind shield, emitting a deafening sound. Everyone was pushed back, their faces pale. Under their shocked gazes, the white-haired man was directly pushed back. The wind blade in front of him kept shattering, and the law on it was pierced through. That damned brat. I want you dead. The white-haired man's expression instantly turned ferocious. His body was filled with a terrifying killing intent. Lin Xian laughed. Oh, you're anxious now? Didn't you say you'd let me have 3 moves first? This was only the first move. There were still 2 more. Boom. Above his head, the giant dragon's phantom roared and opened its mouth to spit out endless waves that swept across the entire sky. This wave once again swallowed the white-haired man. Die for me. The white-haired man roared. He had said he'd let Lin Xian have 3 moves first. Now he didn't dare to let Lin Xian have 3 moves first. The law of wind on his body trembled violently. It was as if he had turned into a wind god. The incomparably sharp blade on his body cut through the surrounding seawater and rushed out from the seawater. Brat, I admit that you're strong. I was wrong. I take back what I said just now. However, you've angered me. I must kill you personally. Wind Spirit Finger. He stretched out his finger, and green Tao runes spread out, intertwining with a terrifying storm as he pointed forward. Whoosh! The surrounding seawater collided with the storm, and Lin Xian merged into the sea. He cultivated the law of 5 elements and could use any law of the 5 elements. At this moment, it was as if he had turned into a sea god. Boundless waves wrapped around the wind spirit finger, and then he rushed out. The seawater on his body instantly turned into flames. The monstrous flames had an aura that could burn everything, and instantly melted the surrounding storm. Boom! He threw out a punch, causing explosions in all directions. This punch carried the law of fire, causing the entire world to shatter. Not good. The white-haired man's face became extremely ugly. His body turned into countless gusts of wind and scattered in all directions. He wanted to dodge. However, he still underestimated this punch. Although his opponent's body was weathered, he couldn't dodge at all. Everything in front of him was completely destroyed, including the wind and the air. Everything was spread in the raging flames. Ah! A miserable cry was heard as the white-haired man fell to the ground. His body was transformed by the wind again. His body was charred black, and his internal organs were burned. He was struggling in pain. A mere early third heaven sage was nothing. Lin Xian said coldly. To be honest, he was really shocked. The increase in his cultivation had caused his strength to undergo an earth-shattering change. In the past, he would have to use his full strength to fight a third heaven sage. But now, it was obviously much easier. Defeated? How could it be? The surrounding people went crazy. That was a third heaven sage. And now he was defeated by a single punch. Lei Qianzhong's people were all stunned. Lei Qianzhong couldn't believe it, and his heart was filled with fear. His companions' faces were filled with shock. How could this be? They weren't dreaming, right? How could a first heaven sage defeat them? Damn it! What was going on in the first astral realm? Where did all these monsters come from? You. The white-haired man fell to the ground, his body twitching, and his eyes were filled with fear. Lin Xian looked at him and sneered. Seeing you stand up for Lei Qianzhong, I thought you were some kind of expert. But now, it seems like you're really disappointing. I didn't expect you to not even be able to take a single punch from me. That means Lei Qianzhong should be at the same level as you. and also unable to take a single punch from me. The second astral realm wasn't much. Kid, you're courting death. How dare you look down on us? Those people were furious. They felt provoked, insulted, and humiliated. Lin Xian sneered. Why are you angry? Then prove it with your strength. Do you really think you're a god that can look down on everything? In my opinion, you're just ants in the eyes of others. So you don't have the right to be arrogant in front of me. The surrounding people felt their scalps tingle. This scene was really hard to believe. A group of geniuses from the second astral boundary was actually suppressed by someone here, unable to raise their heads. Lei Qianzhong was also dumbfounded. To be honest, he didn't expect it to be like this. How could it be? How could there be so many powerful first heaven sages in this world? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.